Chapter 316. The forefather of Shadow Poison's spatial divine artifact. Ian Lin and the others were shocked. Hui nodded, yes, it's the forefather of Shadow Poison's spatial divine artifact. Several hundred years ago, when he bought a jade disc at an auction, he took out his spatial divine artifact to pay for it. I'm sure I'm not mistaken. He has the forefather of Shadow Poison's spatial divine artifact. Could they be the ones who killed the forefather of Shadow Poison? The demon god sect expert who wanted to grab Lu Yiping's shoulder trembled. A light flickered in Hu Yi's eyes. Even if they didn't kill the forefather of Shadow Poison, I'm afraid there's someone behind them. Let's not think about that golden light mouse, let's look for another one. Although golden light mice were rare, as far as they knew, there should be more than one on the toxic continent. The 7 demon god sect experts left in bewilderment. After the demon god sect experts left, inside the valley, Lu Yiping looked at the golden light mouse on his shoulder and smiled, "Little guy, why aren't you coming down?" The golden light mouse jumped down from Lu Yiping's shoulder and cupped its fists at Lu Yiping, bowing in gratitude, "Many thanks for saving my life, Lord." This golden light mouse was able to escape from Hu Yi's group all the way here. It was definitely not weak. "Have a seat." Lu Yiping pointed to a spot near the bonfire. The golden light mouse did not stand on ceremony and sat down. Lu Yiping smiled and threw a jug of myriad eras wine to the golden light mouse. In ancient times, one of his unnamed disciples was a golden light mouse. Therefore, Lu Yiping felt a sense of familiarity when he saw the golden light mouse in front of him. Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, and the golden light mouse began to chat. The next day, Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao left the toxic continent. The golden light mouse bid farewell to the two and returned to the depths of the toxic continent. After leaving the toxic continent, Lu Yiping and Hui passed by a nearby city and heard many experts talking about the birth of the heavenly will. The mandate of heaven is about to be born. Many experts are rushing to the heavenly path. Lord Sikong Nan of the Ionic God Manor has already led the experts of the Ionic God Manor to the heavens path. Not only Lord Sikong Nan, but Heaven's Vault Palace, Cold Solitude Sect, Divine Dragon Valley, Golden Buddha Temple, Ing family, and Chongsun family have also led their experts to Heaven's Road. I heard that the top 10 experts on the supreme list of the Eternal Star Zone are all heading to Heaven's path. Is there something different about the birth of destiny this time? Every 100 generations, the primal chaos heavens will come into being. Some say that the primal chaos heavens will be born this time. Therefore, the competition for the heavens this time will be even more intense than before. I wonder if the Che clan's 14 totem Lu Yiping has gone to Heaven's Road. There seemed to be no movement from Che Fu. 14 totems? TSK. That's unprecedented. That said, even the exalted Sikong Nan, the master of our Ionic God Manor, is taking action. Even if the exalted Lu Yiping has 14 totems, he still won't be able to do anything. The discussions reached Lu Yiping's ears. In addition to discussing the birth of the heaven's will, they were also discussing the death of forefather Shadow Poison. Several days later, the news of forefather Shadow Poison's death had spread, causing a huge commotion in the Deep South Plain and the Eternal Star Zone. The death of anyone in the top 100 of the sovereign ranking was a big deal for the Eternal Star Zone, not to mention someone like forefather Shadow Poison, who was ranked 36th on the sovereign ranking. Primal Chaos Heavens will, Taurus Longjiao said, I wonder what level of Primal Chaos Heavens will come into being. Even Primal Chaos Heavens will had different levels of strength. Level 1 Primal Chaos Heavens was the lowest, while Level 10 Primal Chaos Heavens was the highest. In the Primordial Era, Level 7 and 8 Primal Chaos Heavens wills had been born. Maybe a Level 10 Primal Chaos Heavens will come into being, Lu Yiping said. It's been a long time since a Level 10 Primal Chaos Heavens will has appeared. Taurus Longjiao nodded, Che Tsipeng's luck is pretty good. When he fuses with a Level 10 Primal Chaos Heavens will, even if it's just a single Heaven's will, he'll be able to tear apart God Kings with 4 or 5 Heaven's wills with his bare hands. The two of them didn't stay for long as they passed by the city and returned to the boundless plain. Now that the Heaven's will was about to come into being, they had to meet up with Che Tsipeng and head to the Heaven's path. The heaven's path was a spatial passage that led to the divine world. Although it was called a path, it was incomparably vast, even bigger than the eternal star zone. Every time the heavens will came into being, it would appear in the heaven's path. Therefore, to compete for the heaven's will, one had to head to the heaven's path. Of course, every time the heavens will came into being, it was also the most chaotic and bloody time in the heaven's path. At that time, not only would the experts of the eternal star zone head to the heaven's path, but also the experts of the lower realms. Even some old antiques that had been cultivating in seclusion for many years would appear in the heaven's path. Sikong Nan was the eternal divine Manner's Manor Lord, the strongest person in the eternal star zone. However, even he didn't dare to say that he was invincible in the lower realms. That was because the lower realms were boundless, and no one knew how big they were. Even more so, no one knew the strength of the nameless old antiques hidden in some uninhabited star zone. For example, Chaitsipeng had swallowed 2 million-year 9-colored divine mushrooms, allowing him to live from the ancient era until now. In the boundless star zone, there were definitely terrifying existences that had lived from the ancient era until now. Some of them were even older than Chaitsipeng. In this generation, the birth of the primal chaos heavens would definitely alarm these old antiques. The heaven's path would be filled with all kinds of people, and blood would flow into the sea. Before long, Lu Yiping and Li Qiye entered the boundless plain. When they arrived at the Great Dragon continent, they discovered that it was much livelier than before. Just as Lu Yiping and Li Qiye were about to enter the Ziwei city, a young man struck up a conversation with Lu Yiping and Li Qiye. "Brothers, do you know how to get to the Ziwei city?" Hearing this, Lu Yiping told the young man the direction of the Ziwei city. The young man thanked Li Qiye and flew towards the Ziwei city. As Lu Yiping and Li Qiye approached the Ziwei city, they discovered that more and more experts were heading towards the Ziwei city. After asking around, they found out that the Che Manor was recruiting guest elders, and everyone was heading towards the Ziwei city. Soon, the Ziwei city came into view. When Lu Yiping and Li Qiye returned to the Che Manor, they saw that it had changed greatly. In the past few years, it had expanded several times. Moreover, the entrance of the Che Manor had undergone a makeover. In front of the Che Manor's entrance, there was a long queue. Clearly, they were all here to apply for the position of guest elder. Lu Yiping also saw the young man who had asked for directions earlier. Those who came to apply were mostly ancient god realm experts. The guards at the entrance recognized Lu Yiping and Li Qiye. Seeing that it was Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao, they excitedly knelt down in greeting. "Lord Lu, you're back." Lu Yiping nodded, allowing the guards to rise. Then, he entered the Che Manor under the excited guards' gazes. Just as they entered the Che Manor, they saw Che Peng, Che Suping, Che Xiaoning, and the rest coming out after hearing the news. "Lord, you're back." Che Zipeng came to Lu Yiping and Li Qiye, bowing with excitement. Lu Yiping allowed Che Peng to rise, then asked with a smile, "Did anything happen in the Che family these past few years?" Chapter 317. Hearing Lu Yiping's question, Che Peng hurriedly replied, "Nothing happened." Then he smiled. "Ever since the battle with the Black-White Deity Palace, our Che Manor's door has been trampled by experts from all over the world." Che Peng's words made Lu Yiping, the Dragon Horn Golden Bull, and Che Xiaoning also laughed out loud. However, Che Xiaoning's laughter was a bit abrupt, causing her father, Che Suping, to give her a sidelong glance. Lu Yiping and the rest entered the Che Manor's main hall under Che Peng's and Che Suping's greeting. After everyone sat down, Che Peng told Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao in detail about the events of the past few years. It turned out that after Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao destroyed the Black-White Deity Palace, experts from all over the boundless plains and even the surrounding plains rushed to Ziwei City, wanting to submit to the Che Manor. After some consideration, Che Peng recruited ancient god realm experts from all over the world. Che Zipeng personally tested every expert that came and went through various selections. In the past few years, he had already recruited more than 100 ancient gods. During this period, the Wu family's patriarch, Wu Weidong, personally came over and said that he was willing to sell the Wu family to the Che Manor. Subsequently, Che Peng bought the surrounding manors. Now, the Che manor had expanded by 5 to 6 times. Oh right, Lord, the city lord of Ziwei City has changed. Che Ziping said, the new city lord is a core disciple of the Zhongsun family. The Zhongsun family was ranked very high among the 100 families. It was a giant among the top 10 families, much stronger than the Su family. After the new city lord, Zhang Sunyu, came to visit our Che manor. His attitude was very humble. Che Ziping said. After listening, Lu Yiping muttered, the heavenly mandate is about to come into being. Prepare, we will head to the heavens path tomorrow. Che Peng stood up and respectfully acknowledged. At this time, Che Suping stepped forward and bowed with a worried expression, Lord, I heard that the primal chaos heavenly mandate will come into being in this generation. At that time, a few terrifying old antiques will come into being. Even existences more terrifying than Lord Sikong Nan will appear in the heavens path. Even more terrifying than Sikong Nan was a god king with 11 wills. Even though Lu Yiping was a 14-totem ancient god with astonishing battle prowess, he was no match for such an existence. It was no wonder that Che Suping was worried about Lu Yiping and Che Jipeng. Hearing this, Taurus Longjiao smiled and said, an existence even more terrifying than Sikong Nan? It's not like we haven't met before. Che Suping was stunned. She had seen him before. Che Ziping smiled at Che Suping and said, don't worry. With Milord and Lord Xiaojin here, nothing will happen. Che Suping nodded. The next day, Lu Yiping's group of 3 left Ziwei City under the respectful escort of the Che family's experts. Lu Yiping's group of 3 boarded the Black Dragon flying ship and soon disappeared into the horizon. Towards Heaven's Road. It's been a long time since I've been to the Heavenly Road. I wonder how the Heavenly Road has changed. Standing at the bow of the Black Dragon flying ship, Taurus Longjiao reminisced. Che Jipeng smiled, I heard that the current Heavenly Palace's goddess is extremely beautiful. Heavenly Palace was one of the 3 great forces of Heaven's Road. During the ancient myriad gods era, Taurus Longjiao and the Heavenly Palace's goddess had an ambiguous relationship. Oh, is that so? Taurus Longjiao smiled and said, however, I'm now the same as Master, focused on cultivation and pursuing the Supreme Tao. I'm no longer interested in women. Che Jipeng was stunned. When Lu Yiping heard Che Jipeng mention Heavenly Palace, he fell silent. Heavenly Palace was founded more than 2 million years ago. Its founder was called Song Song and was his disciple in name. However, very few people knew that Song Song was his disciple in name. Even Che Jipeng didn't know this. Even the people of the Master of Myriad Gods generation didn't know this. This was because Song Song was hundreds of thousands of years older than the Master of Myriad Gods. The Black Dragon flying ship tore through the stars at an extremely fast speed and approached Heaven's Road. Heaven's Road wasn't far from the eternal star field. They only needed to pass through a dozen star fields to reach it. However, there were still a few months before the birth of the Heavenly Mandate, so Lu Yiping and the others weren't in a hurry. Half a month later, the 3 of them arrived at Heaven's Road. They saw a huge road, which was countless miles wide and long, lying in front of the vast river of stars. On Heaven's Road, there were countless planets, planes, continents, sects, and families. The eternal star field was the strongest star field in the lower realm. However, Heaven's Road didn't belong to any star field. Heaven's Road was the place closest to the upper realm. It was even more ancient than the eternal star field. Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao walked towards the plain in front of them. This plain was the outermost plain of Heaven's Road. It was also the most famous plain in Heaven's Road. It was called the 8 Desolates Plain. Experts from various starfields would pass through the 8 Desolates Plain. 8 Desolates Plain was the only way. 8 Desolates Plain didn't belong to any sect. It was the most chaotic place. After arriving in the airspace above 8 Desolates Plain, Lu Yiping kept the Black Dragon flying ship and walked towards the city with Taurus Longjiao and Che Ziping. City of Death. Above the city gates, there were 2 words written in ancient script. Moreover, the words were still dripping with blood. It seemed like the blood hadn't dried yet. Liu Yiping could see that the 2 words City of Death contained a blood river formation. As long as there was a battle in the City of Death, blood would flow out from the 2 words. Therefore, the 2 words City of Death would always be dripping with blood. The blood was still warm. The formation isn't bad. Taurus Longjiao looked at the 2 words and said. He followed Liu Yiping. Although his zither skills weren't that good, he was still good at formations. Liu Yiping's group of 3 walked into the City of Death. By the time Liu Yiping entered the City of Death, the blood on the city gates had completely disappeared. The blood river formation stopped working. Not long after Liu Yiping's group entered the City of Death, someone finally noticed that the blood on the city gates had disappeared. The blood on the city gates has disappeared. What's going on? The blood on the city gates has been flowing for hundreds of thousands of years, it has never disappeared. More and more people in the City of Death heard the news and gathered around the city gates. Seeing that the blood on the city gates had indeed disappeared, everyone was discussing and puzzled. What? The blood on the city gates has disappeared? The Patriarch of Death City's #1 family, Qi Ren, was surprised when he heard the news. The blood river formation on the city gates was arranged by his Qi family's ancestors. Unless someone destroyed the blood river formation, the blood on the city gates couldn't have disappeared. Qi Ren rushed to the city gates in a hurry. Seeing that the blood on the city gates had indeed disappeared, he asked his subordinate with a solemn expression, "Did anyone destroy the blood river formation?" "I've already inquired about it." The passers-by all said that they didn't see anyone do it. His subordinate quickly replied. "Didn't see anyone do it?" Qi Ren's expression became even more serious after listening to his subordinate. Could it be that the other party used divine sense to break the blood river formation? He slowly said, "A super expert in formations came to the City of Death." Chapter 318. His Qi family's ancestors' array formation was infinitely close to the realm where anything could form an array. This blood river formation had been operating for hundreds of thousands of years and no one had ever broken it. But now, it was broken by someone. Moreover, it was broken without any of the experts in the ghost town noticing. "Patriarch, do you want to check who entered the ghost town just now?" The Qi family's subordinate asked. Qi Ren pondered for a moment and said, "Check who entered the ghost town in the past hour." The Qi family's expert complied. The Qi family was the #1 family in the ghost town. Therefore, the result came out very quickly. In the past hour, there were more than 300 sects and forces that entered the ghost town. "Oh, you're saying that old man Tianbei entered the ghost town?" Qi Ren's eyes narrowed. Old man Tianbei was the #1 array master in the Eternal Ancient Star Field, and also the 4th strongest expert in the Eternal Ancient Star Field. "Yes, Patriarch." The Qi family's subordinate said, "Old man Tianbei and his 3 disciples entered the ghost town at the same time." Qi Ren nodded hearing that. Other than old man Tianbei, the Silver-Winged Divine Mansion's Mansion Master and their experts also entered the ghost town. The Qi family's subordinate continued, "The Silver-Winged Divine Mansion sent many experts this time, and each of them is an expert. Silver-Winged Divine Mansion's Mansion Master, Silver-Winged King Yimu." Qi Ren said solemnly. "Yes, Silver-Winged King Yimu." The Qi family's expert replied respectfully. The Eternal Ancient Star Field was the #1 star field in the lower realm, and the Silver-Winged Star Field was the #2 star field in the lower realm. One could imagine the strength of this Silver-Winged King Yimu. Moreover, everyone knew that this Yimu was obsessed with array formations. His mastery of array formations had reached an unimaginable level. The old housekeeper sitting beside Qi Ren said, "Was it old man Tianbei and the Silver-Winged King who broke the blood river formation?" Qi Ren said, "Pass down the order, tell the Qi family's disciples to restrain themselves and not provoke old man Tianbei and the Silver-Winged King." As the #1 family in the ghost town, the Qi family's disciples were used to being domineering in the ghost town. "Patriarch, rest assured, I've already passed down the order. After Lu Yiping's trio entered the ghost town and passed by a small tavern, they heard a pleasantly surprised voice, "Big Brother Lu." Lu Yiping turned around and saw more than 10 people walking out of the tavern. They were none other than Su Teng from Northern Wilderness Starfield's Azure Thunder Divine Sect, Sword Ancestor Zhou Kan, as well as Tang Qing and Tang Shuiao from Stellar Moon Peak. Behind Tang Shuiao was Tang Bin. Taurus Longjiao smiled when he saw Tang Bin. "Little Bin, it's you." Tang Bin laughed heartily as he rushed over. Taurus Longjiao picked Tang Bin up. "Big Brother Xiao Jin, Big Brother Lu, I told you that you would definitely come to heaven's path this time." Tang Bin laughed happily. It was the laughter of a reunion after a long separation. Lu Yiping also smiled and patted Tang Bin's head. He and Taurus Longjiao liked Tang Bin very much. Lord Lu, Lord Xiao Jin, Lord Che, Su Teng, Sword Ancestor Zhou Kan, Tang Qing, and the rest were overjoyed. They all stepped forward and bowed respectfully to Lu Yiping's trio. Tang Shuiao came to Lu Yiping's side and said, "Big Brother Lu." Lu Yiping nodded with a smile, "Miss Shuiao." He then asked Su Teng, "Why are you here?" Su Teng smiled embarrassedly, "After receiving Lord's guidance and the spiritual herbs that Lord left behind, I formed the 10 totems a few days ago and wanted to come to heaven's path to take a look." He then added, "We're just here to take a look and have no intention of fighting for heaven's path. Moreover, Lord CSC and the rest might also come to heaven's path, so we came to see if we could meet Lord Lu and the rest." Tang Bin smiled, "I pestered old ancestor Su Teng to come. I haven't seen Big Brother Lu and the rest for a few years, so I wanted to come and see Big Brother Lu." He then blinked and said, "Of course, my sister also wants to see Big Brother Lu." Tang Shuiao was stunned and her face blushed. She pretended to be angry at her little brother who liked to cause trouble. Tang Bin stuck out his tongue and giggled. "Lord Lu, shall we talk inside?" Su Teng asked Lu Yiping, indicating that they should sit down in the small tavern first. Lu Yiping nodded and returned to the small tavern with Azure Thunder God Zhongzhong and the rest. The tavern was not big, about 100 meters wide, with 20 to 30 tables. The inside of the tavern was already full. After everyone sat down, Su Teng, Zhou Kan, and the rest started chatting with Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, and Che Ziping. Before Lu Yiping left, he strengthened the Azure Thunder Divine Sect's protective array and left behind a lot of star chaos water. Hence, the Azure Thunder Divine Sect was thriving in recent years. However, Che Peng had killed the God of Destruction, Copper God, and 100 Northern Barons Grand Commanders in the Northern Baron Divine Manor. Hence, the Northern Baron Institute Principal Hao Lianbi had vented his anger on the Azure Thunder Divine Sect and had been suppressing them for the past few years. "Oh, Hao Lianbi has been suppressing the Azure Thunder Divine Sect in recent years." Taurus Longjiao's face turned cold. Su Teng said, "I heard that Hao Lianbi was from the Silver-Winged Divine Manor before he became the Northern Wilderness Prefecture Lord." Silver-Winged Monarch Mu. Che Ziping was surprised. Even in the Eternal Star Field, the Silver-Winged Monarch Mu's reputation was great. His strength was enough to intimidate many star fields. Su Teng nodded, "Yes, the Silver-Winged Monarch. I heard that Hao Lianbi was a guard of the Silver-Winged Divine Manor. Later, he was recognized by the Silver-Winged Monarch and was appointed as the Northern Wilderness Prefecture Lord." Lu Yiping nodded. In fact, many of the prefecture lords were appointed by Eternal Star Field Sikong Nan and Silver-Winged Monarch Mu. Many of the prefecture lords were their subordinates. Su Teng said, "Hao Lianbi is also in the Heaven's Path and is with the Silver-Winged Divine Manor's experts." "Lord, you must be careful of the Silver-Winged Divine Manor's experts." Su Teng and the rest only knew that Che Ziping had displayed his 12 totems in the Nether Sea and killed the Nether Godding Fei Li. They did not know what had happened in the Eternal Star Field. Suddenly, Su Teng stopped and looked outside the tavern with a stunned expression. Several people walked in, and one of them was Hao Lianbi's daughter, Hao Lian Qingyue. Other than Hao Lian Qingyue, there were several young men and women. One of the young men was wearing the Silver-Winged Divine Manor's brocade robe. Hao Lian Qingyue and the rest followed behind him. "It's you guys." Hao Lian Qingyue was surprised to see Su Teng. When she saw Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, and Che Zipeng, she exclaimed, "Qingyue, you know them?" The young man in the silver-winged divine manners brocade robe asked when he saw Hao Lian Qingyue's reaction. "Young Master Yi Quan, he is Lu Yiping." Hao Lian Qingyue said. The young man was Yi Mu's nephew, Yi Quan. Yi Quan was shocked when he heard the name. He looked at Lu Yiping and asked, "You're Lu Yiping, the one with 14 totems? You're the one who annihilated the black-white divine manor." "What? 14 totems?" Su Teng, Sword Ancestor Zhou Can, and the rest were shocked. Even Tang Bin and Tang Shuiyao looked at Lu Yiping in disbelief. Hao Lian Qingyue was also shocked. Like Su Teng and the rest, she did not know what had happened in the boundless world. Because the black-white divine manor's annihilation had only happened a few years ago, many star fields did not know about it. Chapter 319. In the tavern, the other experts were also in an uproar as they looked at Lu Yiping in shock and suspicion. This blue-robed young man has 14 totems. It was no wonder that these people were suspicious. Even in ancient times, there were only 13 totems. They had never heard of a 14-totem ancient god expert. Young Master Yi Quan, could it be someone with the same name? Hao Lian Qingyue asked Yi Quan. Same name? Yi Quan looked at Lu Yiping in confusion. At this moment, Lu Yiping said to Hao Lian Qingyue indifferently, "Go back and tell your father that if he dares to touch Azure Thunder Sect again, even if he has Silverwing God Mansion's protection, I will still cut off his head." Whether it was Hao Lian Qingyue or the other young men and women, they were all furious. Even Yi Quan's face sank. Even if this person was really Lu Yiping with 14 totems, he might not be too arrogant. Cut off the head of Northern Wilderness God Mansion Master. On the surface, it was a warning to Northern Wilderness God Mansion Master Hao Lianbi, but it was also a warning to Silverwing God Mansion. Yi Quan's face turned cold as he said, "Your Excellency, is this a warning to our Silverwing God Mansion?" Lu Yiping said, "You can understand it that way." A young man behind Yi Quan couldn't help but fly into a rage. "Brat, even if you are really Lu Yiping with 14 totems, you are still just an ancient god. You, an ancient god, dare to speak nonsense to our Silverwing God Mansion. Any Seven Wills God King from our Silverwing God Mansion can crush you to death." "Oh, is that so?" Lu Yiping's face was calm. He didn't seem to move, but the young man behind Yi Quan was suddenly sucked to Lu Yiping by a shocking force. Everyone was shocked. "Lu Yiping, what are you doing?" "My father is the great commander of Silverwing God Mansion, an 8 Wills God King." The young man couldn't move at all. He was shocked and angry. 8 Wills God King. Taurus Longjiao sneered and sent the young man flying with a slap. He landed on the street outside the tavern. "You broke my god vein and totem." The young man vomited blood and looked at Taurus Longjiao in shock and anger. Yi Quan and the others glared at Taurus Longjiao. "Do you know the consequences of doing this?" Yi Quan glared at Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. "Scram!" Taurus Longjiao snorted coldly. "If you continue to be long-winded, I'll crush all of you to death." Feeling the killing intent from Taurus Longjiao, Yi Quan didn't dare to say anything more. He brought the injured young man and left with Hao Lian, Qingyue, and the others. Su Teng, Zhou Can, and the rest watched Yi Quan's group leave in a daze for a long time. At this time, in a certain residence in the Ghost City, the Silver-Winged King Yi Mu and the experts of the Silver-Winged Divine Manor were chatting happily with Old Man Tian Bei. "We haven't seen each other for several thousand years. Senior Tian Bei is even more graceful than before." The Silver-Winged King Yi Mu smiled at Old Man Tian Bei. Old Man Tian Bei, who had a face full of white hair and a pair of spirited eyes, laughed and said, "I'm old. After a few more years, I'm afraid my old bones won't be able to walk anymore. How can I be compared to Manor Lord Yi?" Both of them flattered each other. Imu smiled and said, Senior Tianbei, why don't we work together for the birth of the heaven's will? Old man Tianbei looked at Imu and the experts around him, and an idea flashed in his mind. He smiled and said, how do we work together? There's only one chaos heaven's will. Just as Imu was about to continue, he saw Iquan and the others walking in with miserable expressions. When Senior Commander Chen Ting saw Iquan's injured son, Chen Ji, he stood up in shock. Imu could tell that Chen Ji's god vein and totem were broken with a single glance. He frowned and asked Iquan, what happened? Iquan didn't dare to conceal anything, and he quickly told Imu everything. He didn't add any details, and told him what Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao said. When the experts in the hall heard Lu Yiping warning Hao Lianbi that if he dared to touch the Azure Thunder Divine Sect again, even if he had the protection of the Silver-Winged Divine Mansion, he would still be beheaded, their faces turned cold. Old man Tianbei was also surprised. Of course, he knew about the Black-White Deity Palace. However, even though Lu Yiping had 14 totems, and it was shocking, wasn't it too inappropriate for him to provoke the Silver-Winged Divine Mansion? Did Lu Yiping really say that? Imu's face sank. It's absolutely true. Iquan quickly said, nephew doesn't dare to exaggerate. Those were Lu Yiping's words. The other youngsters from the Silver-Winged Divine Mansion also spoke. A person with 14 totems provoking our Silver-Winged Divine Mansion, interesting. Imu suddenly smiled at old man Tianbei, Senior Tianbei, what do you think of this Lu Yiping? Old man Tianbei smiled, even though 14 totems is unprecedented, he's still just an ancient god. However, everyone is speculating whether or not this Lu Yiping has 15 totems. Imu shook his head, in the ancient times, even the master of myriad gods only had 13 totems. This Lu Yiping being able to condense 14 totems is already a miracle. How can he condense 15 totems? Clearly, he didn't believe that Lu Yiping could condense 15 totems. Or rather, he didn't believe that 15 totems existed in this world. Then he smiled, this Lu Yiping dares to provoke our Silver-Winged Divine Mansion, I'm curious about his confidence. Then he added, Senior Tianbei, shall we go meet this Lu Yiping together? Old man Tianbei smiled, alright, I also want to see what 14 totems look like. I heard that this Lu Yiping's totems are bigger than Ziwei City. Hence, Imu, old man Tianbei, and the rest headed towards Lu Yiping's little tavern. Imu was the Silver-Winged Divine Mansion's mansion master, while old man Tianbei was the 4th-ranked expert on the ancient star field sovereign list. Both of them appeared at the same time, and their imposing manner attracted the attention of all the experts in the Ghost City. I heard that there's a 14-totem expert in the ancient star field called Lu Yiping. Just now, Lu Yiping crippled the divine veins and totems of the Silver-Winged Divine Mansion's disciples. What, a 14-totem ancient god? That's impossible. When the news of the tavern spread, all the experts were shocked. In a certain courtyard in the Ghost City, Myriad God Sect's Patriarch Wang Fengwen smiled indifferent when he heard the news, Lu Yiping provoked the Silver-Winged Divine Mansion. Does he think that the Silver-Winged Divine Mansion is our Myriad God Sect and the Black-White Palace? Let's go and see how Lu Yiping dies. He led the Myriad God Sect's experts to the little tavern. Inside the little tavern, Lu Yiping and the rest were about to leave after settling the bill when they sensed the powerful auras of the Silver-Winged Divine Mansion's experts. Everyone looked over and saw Imu and old man Tianbei chatting and laughing as they walked over. Behind them were the Silver-Winged Divine Mansion's experts and old man Tianbei's 3 personal disciples. It's the Silver-Winged Monarch. And old man Tianbei. An expert exclaimed. When Su Teng, Zhou Can, and the rest heard this, their faces changed. To them, existences like the Silver-Winged Monarch and Old Man Tianbei were supreme existences that they could not touch. They also saw the Northern Wilderness Divine Mansion's Mansion Master Hao Lianbi, who was hailed as the strongest person in the Northern Wilderness star field. He was following behind the Silver-Winged Monarch's group. Chapter 320. Imu stopped his conversation with old man Tian Bei when they arrived at the small tavern. He turned to look at Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, and the others inside. This glance made Su Teng, Zhou Can, and the others feel as if they were facing heaven and earth. In their eyes, the silver-winged monarch Imu was the heavens. Everything in this world was as weak as dust before him. Su Teng, Zhou Can, and the others felt the urge to kneel and worship him. Just as they were about to kneel, Taurus Longjiao let out a cold harumph. Su Teng, Zhou Can, and the others shuddered, and their eyes cleared. Imu couldn't help but look at the bull with a surprised expression. Soon, the silver-winged monarch manners group arrived at the small tavern. Imu's gaze shifted from Taurus Longjiao to Lu Yiping, and he smiled, "Looks like you're the 14th totem, Lu Yiping." He then looked at Lu Yiping from head to toe, commenting, "Not bad, your aura is deep like the abyss, and your divine soul is firm." The smile on Imu's face disappeared as he continued, "My nephew said that you warned Hao Lianbi that if he dares to touch the Azure Thunder Divine Sect, even with the silver-winged monarch Manor's protection, his head will be chopped off, right?" "That's right," Lu Yiping answered indifferently. Imu called out, "Hao Lianbi." Hao Lianbi, who was at the back of the group, hurried to Imu's side and bowed, "Lord. When we return, I permit you to mobilize the Northern Desolate Divine Mansion's army and annihilate the Azure Thunder Divine Sect for me." Imu said, "After you annihilate the Azure Thunder Divine Sect, I will reward you handsomely." Everyone's expressions were colorful. Imu was telling Lu Yiping that he did not want Hao Lianbi to touch the Azure Thunder Divine Sect, and that he wanted to annihilate it. Hao Lianbi was stunned, then he said happily, "Rest assured, Lord, after we return, I will mobilize the army and annihilate the Azure Thunder Divine Sect." Then, he added, "Lord, the dozen people standing behind Lu Yiping are the Azure Thunder Divine Sect's experts." "Oh." Imu looked at Su Teng and Zhou Can, who were standing behind Lu Yiping, and said with a smile, "Since that's the case, kill these people first, then annihilate the Azure Thunder Divine Sect when you return." Hao Lianbi respectfully complied, then raised his head to look at Su Teng, Zhou Can, Tang Shuiyao, Tang Bin, and the others. Indifferent expressions appeared on the faces of the several thousand silver-winged Divine Mansion experts behind Imu as they looked at Lu Yiping. Many of their auras locked onto Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, and Che Peng. Imu looked at Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, and Che Peng and said indifferently, "Lu Yiping, I advise you not to interfere." Otherwise, however, as soon as he said this, a sword light suddenly flashed past. Everyone's eyes lit up. In the next second, everyone saw Hao Lianbi's head being tossed into the air. It was only after Hao Lianbi's head fell to the ground that Hao Lianbi's headless corpse fell to the ground. Everyone was stunned. Before everyone's eyes, Hao Lianbi's head slowly rolled to Imu's feet. The silver-winged Divine Mansion's experts were similarly stunned as they looked at the head at Imu's feet. Imu and old man Tian Bei also looked at the rolling head with astonishment. "Father!" Hao Lianqingyu, who was at the back, cried out in grief. Imu suddenly raised his head and looked at Lu Yiping with an ugly expression. He saw that a long sword had appeared in Lu Yiping's hand at some point in time. Indifferent expressions appeared on Imu's face as he looked at Lu Yiping. His face was gloomy as he said, "Before coming here, I was still thinking about how to appreciate your talent. I was thinking that if you were willing to submit to me and work for me, I might be able to help you obtain a heaven's will in this era. But since you're courting death, then don't blame me." Light surged from his body. "There is no need for Lord Manor Lord to take action to kill an ancient god." At this time, Senior Commander Chen Ting, who was standing beside Imu, spoke, "This subordinate is willing to take action on behalf of Lord Manor Lord." Imu hesitated for a moment before nodding. As the Manor Lord of the Silver-Winged Divine Manor, killing Lu Yiping, an ancient god, was indeed beneath his dignity. If news of this spread, he would become a laughingstock. Immediately, Chen Ting walked towards Lu Yiping with killing intent in his eyes. He circulated the divine energy in his body and heaven's wills flew out one after another. There were actually 8 heaven's wills. Each heaven's will was more than 200 li wide. The 8 heavens wills hung in the sky above the Jyotian. Astonishing laws of heaven and earth swept out, alarming the experts in the city of death. A god king with 8 heavens wills. Who is it? Some of the experts who didn't know what happened in the tavern were shocked. Somewhere in the city of death, several young men and women looked at the 8 heavens wills in surprise. Ask around and find out who's doing it, a beautiful woman in the lead said. Soon, they found out. 4th senior sister, it's someone called Lu Yiping who killed the Silver-Winged Divine Manners people. The Silver-Winged Divine Manners Grand Commander Chen Ting wants to kill this Lu Yiping. One of them said, however, there are many experts in the city of death saying that this Lu Yiping is an ancient god with 14 totems. Moreover, his totems are shockingly big. The 4th senior sister shook her head and laughed, 14 totems? Even our heavenly palace can't nurture an ancient god with 14 totems. This Lu Yiping has 14 totems? What a joke, only an idiot would believe it. Right at this time, heaven and earth shook violently. Not only was the city of death shaking, even the space outside the city was shaking. In the next moment, the heavenly palace's people saw a black shadow that covered the sky flying out. The city of death was bigger than Ziwei City. It was noon, and the sun was high in the sky. But when the black shadow flew out, the city of death fell into darkness, and all the sunlight disappeared. As the black shadow rose, a shocking aura rushed out, creating waves of energy. The heavenly palace's people were shocked. Then, another unbelievably huge shadow flew out, followed by a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th. Soon, there were 13 totems. These are totems? 13 totems. The heavenly palace's 4th senior sister stuttered. Just as her words fell, another totem flew out. The 14th totem broke through the shackles of heaven and earth, slowly rising. The ground of the city of death was shaking, and all the buildings were shaking. 14 totems. One of the heavenly palace's female disciples blurted out. The heavenly palace's 4th senior sister was dumbfounded. Was it really 14 totems? Just when everyone thought it was over, heaven and earth shook violently again. Moreover, it was an unprecedented tremor, as if something wanted to come out. The space in the city of death felt like it was going to explode. While everyone was still in shock, Lu Yiping's 15th totem flew out. When Lu Yiping's 15th totem flew out, not only were the heavenly palace's people dumbfounded, all the experts in the city of death were aghast. Even Emu and old man Tian Bei were astounded, unable to believe their eyes. This Lu Yiping really condensed 15 totems. The Silver-Winged Divine Mansion's great commander Chen Ting was shocked, and the killing intent in his eyes intensified. He was confident that he could kill Lu Yiping with 15 totems. This Lu Yiping must die. Just when he was about to go all out, suddenly, another black shadow flew out from Lu Yiping's body. 16 totems. Chapter 321. Everyone's mind went blank when they saw the 16 totems that flew out from Lu Yiping's body. The heavenly palace's 4th senior sister and the others were so shocked that they couldn't speak. Especially the heavenly palace's 4th senior sister, her beautiful eyes, heart and soul were all shaken. She knew that the heavenly palace had exhausted countless resources to nurture a 14-totem expert, but they were still unable to do so. In the end, the heavenly palace's old ancestor had no choice but to give up, saying that it was impossible for a 14-totem ancient god to exist in this world. But now, they actually saw 16 totems. 16 totems, what kind of monster was this? There was actually such a monstrous existence in this world. Is this going to shake the myriad worlds? The heavenly palace's 4th senior sister trembled. The Silver-Winged Divine Manor and the experts in the Ghost City also stopped moving when they saw the 16 totems in front of them. Everyone in the Ghost City was looking at the 16 totems in the sky. The Qi family's patriarch, Qi Ren, and the Qi family's experts were also looking at the 16 totems in shock. 16 totems, I actually saw the birth of a 16-totem ancient god. In this world, any monstrous genius is a joke in front of him. Qi Ren muttered to himself. With the 16 totems hanging above the Jyotian, the ghost city was completely engulfed in darkness. In the sky, other than the 16 totems, there was nothing else. The 16 totems were the sky. The silver-winged King Emu was the first to recover from his shock. He couldn't help regretting his actions. If he didn't come earlier, he wouldn't have formed a grudge with Liu Yiping. Now, it was a death grudge. And now, there was no turning back. The killing intent in his eyes was unprecedentedly strong. There was no turning back. If this Liu Yiping didn't die today, then in the future, the ones who would die would be him and the silver-winged divine manner. Today, Liu Yiping must die. With his strength as one of the 10 heavens mandate god kings, he was confident that he could kill Liu Yiping with 16 totems. Just as Emu's killing intent was unprecedentedly strong, and he was about to urge the power of the 10 heavens mandate god kings to deal a fatal blow to Liu Yiping, the world shook violently again. Emu and everyone else was stunned. What's going on? The people who were shocked by the 16 totems were shocked. Could it be? Old man Tianbei looked at Liu Yiping in shock. At the same time, the 4 senior sisters of the heavenly palace also thought of the same question. Their beautiful eyes were also full of horror. Does he have more? Also. As soon as she finished speaking, another totem flew out. This totem seemed to be bigger and brighter than all the previous totems. 17 totems. Emu stopped channeling the heavenly will and said, his eyes wide open. Su Teng, Zhou Kan, Tang Qing, and the others looked at the 17 totems. Are you trying to blow up the heavens? Tang Bin said in a daze. Taurus Longjiao chuckled. The 17 totems rolled up layers upon layers of airwaves, and rushed out of the ghost town, and even rushed towards the heavenly road outside the ghost town. Heaven's road was countless miles wide, but at this moment, the 17 totems were rolling up a shockwave, with the ghost town as the center. It was continuously spreading towards the surroundings of Heaven's Road. Some of the experts who rushed to Heaven's Road were about to fly towards the ghost town when they suddenly saw layers upon layers of airwaves rushing out from the ghost town. Then, they swept through the layers of space in Heaven's Road, spreading towards the boundless Heaven's Road. A frightening power spread out. The experts outside the city were so frightened that they stopped what they were doing. What is this? A heaven's mandate god king asked in a daze. Look, what is that? Another 11 totem ancient god suddenly pointed above the ghost town. Everyone looked at the sky above the ghost town through the layers of airwaves. They saw 17 incomparably huge shadows were suspended in the sky above the ghost town. Black suns? That was the first reaction. But when they took a closer look, their breathing quickened, and their bodies trembled. Totems? A god king with 7 wills spoke with difficulty. 17 totem ancient gods. Totems. They had never seen such huge and resplendent totems. The appearance of the chaos wills this time actually attracted 17 totem ancient gods. An 8 wills god king was shocked. At this time, Liu Yiping stood on the street outside the tavern with his hands behind his back. His blue robe fluttered in the wind, making him look like the ruler of the heavens. Tang Xueyao looked at Liu Yiping, her chest heaving up and down. Liu Yiping was more than 1.8 meters tall, standing under the 17 totems like a speck of dust. But at this time, he was so majestic in everyone's eyes. The silver-winged god Manor's Grand Commander Chen Ting looked at the 17 totems in horror. His legs had long since turned to jelly from fright. It was as if he had contracted a soft disease and couldn't stand straight no matter how hard he tried. Chen Ting's 8 wills were like a rock standing under 17 mountains in front of the 17 totems. Liu Yiping looked at Chen Ting. The 17 totems trembled, and immediately, heavy energy crashed down like a heavenly river. Chen Ting's 8 wills exploded in an instant. Chen Ting's body froze, and his 8 wills exploded at the same time. He couldn't resist or escape at all and was directly blasted to death. Everyone trembled. This was an 8 wills god king, an invincible existence in some star fields. But now, he was blasted to death in a single breath by an ancient god. Emu and the experts from Silver-Winged God Manor felt their hearts twitch when they saw Chen Ting die in a single blow. Lu Yiping looked at Emu and the experts from Silver-Winged God Manor and said, "It's your turn now, you can all attack together." Emu's expression was ugly. What did Lu Yiping just say? He wanted him and the several thousand experts from Silver-Winged God Manor to attack together? His expression sank. He glanced at the 17 totems and took a deep breath to calm himself down. He looked coldly at Lu Yiping. Attack together? Lu Yiping, you think too highly of yourself. I alone am enough to kill you. I don't believe that your 17 totems are that strong. Strong enough to contend against my 10 Heavens Will God Kings. Having said that, Emu activated the 10 Heavens Wills in his body. Space shook violently as Heaven's Wills flew out one after another. Each of them was 1,000 miles long. 1,000 miles Heaven's Will, that's a level 10 Heaven's Will. Everyone was shocked to see this. There were strong and weak Heaven's Wills. Generally speaking, 100 miles or less was a level 1 Heaven's Will, 200 miles was a level 2 Heaven's Will, and so on. Below level 3 Heaven's Wills were more common, but those above level 7 were extremely rare. As for level 10, they were even rarer. Above the 10th level were the 11th, 12th, and 13th levels. Above the 13th level was the Primal Chaos Mandate. No one expected Emu's Heaven's Will to be level 10. Amidst everyone's shock, Emu's 10 Heaven's Wills all flew out. The 10 Heaven's Wills circled in the sky and emitted rays of light. They swept up thousands of layers of energy waves and collided with the energy waves of the 17 totems. Chapter 322. The light from the 10 rank 10 fate beasts intertwined. Everyone was shocked to see Emu's 10 rank 10 fate beasts. Generally speaking, it wasn't easy to fuse with 1 rank 10 fate beasts, but Emu had fused with 10. No wonder Emu dared to fight Lu Yiping alone with 17 totems. A normal god monarch with 10 fate beasts wouldn't be able to fight against Lu Yiping with 17 totems. But now, Emu had 10 rank 10 fate beasts. Everyone looked at Lu Yiping's 17 totems and then at Emu's 10 rank 10 fate beasts. They were guessing the result of the battle. Lu Yiping's expression was calm as he looked at Emu's 10 rank 10 fate beasts. At this time, silver runes appeared all over Emu's body. Soon, the surface of his body was covered by silver runes. From afar, Emu looked like a strange golden person. Furthermore, behind Emu, there were 2 huge silver wings. Following the transformation, his aura rose again. Silverwing bloodline. One of the 10 primordial bloodlines. The crowd exclaimed. 10 rank 10 fate beasts in addition to one of the 10 primordial bloodlines, the Silverwing bloodline. Emu's huge silver wings suddenly flapped as he jumped up and arrived in front of Lu Yiping in an instant. His 2 fists punched at Lu Yiping. Silverwing Heavenly Light Fist. Silverwing Heavenly Light Fist. This was the strongest inheritance of the ancient silver-winged clan. When Emu punched out, the power of his 10 fate beasts fused together with his fists. 2 huge silver fists broke through the air. The silver fists blasted open layers of space and created a terrifying fist wave. Space whimpered. The Death City trembled as if it couldn't withstand the power of Emu's 10 fate beasts. Chi-Ren roared, "All families in the Death City, activate the defensive formation." Rays of light shot into the sky and covered every corner of the Death City. Layers of formation energy spread out and swept out. Under the protection of the myriad of clans formation in the ghost town, the ground and buildings in the ghost town began to undergo an astonishing transformation. They became dazzling gold, as if they were plated with layers upon layers of golden radiance. When Lu Yiping saw Emu's silver-winged heavenly light fist, Lu Yiping responded with a punch of his own. When Lu Yiping punched out, the 17 totems shook, and layers of power fused into Lu Yiping's fist. Heaven and earth suddenly paused. Layers of chaotic light shot out from Lu Yiping's fist. What is this? Chaos. No one had ever seen anyone use their fists to produce the light of chaos. The light of chaos collided with the silver-winged heavenly fists. Rumble. Amidst the earth-shaking explosion, a terrifying light exploded. The ghost town's myriad of great formations were instantly shattered layer by layer. The sound of explosions resounded incessantly. The duo's power continued to spread to the surroundings. Under their power, the surrounding buildings instantly turned into nothingness. Retreat quickly! Old man Tianbei shouted in alarm. He quickly retreated while protecting his 3 personal disciples. The experts of the silver-winged divine mansion had already retreated far away. However, the duo's power was too terrifying, and the impact spread far and wide. Some of the experts of the silver-winged divine mansion were instantly affected and were sent flying. Some were directly smashed into pieces. As everyone retreated in shock, Imu's body also paused. He was sent flying through the air, smashing through layers of buildings before finally smashing through the ghost town's walls and falling out of the ghost town. The place where Imu smashed through rumbled, sending sand and rocks flying. 10 level 10 divine monarchs in addition to the 10 ancient bloodlines were still sent flying by a single punch. Everyone looked at Imu, who fell outside the ghost town and was covered by the ghost town's walls with shock. A divine monarch with 10 divine wills could be said to be at the peak of the lower realm. However, he was still sent flying by Lu Yiping, an ancient god. An ancient god sending a divine monarch with 10 divine wills flying was unheard of. However, they witnessed it with their own eyes today. The people from the heavenly palace who rushed over were in disbelief when they saw this scene. Can an ancient god's strength reach this level? The 4th senior sister had a complicated expression. Lord Manor Lord. The group of experts from the silver-winged divine mansion rushed to the ghost town and blasted away the rocks that buried Imu. Imu was lying on the ground. Just as the silver-winged divine mansion's experts were about to rescue Imu, a ray of silver light shot out from Imu's body. The silver light grew stronger and stronger. At the same time, the 10 level 10 divine wills in the air trembled as a powerful energy rushed out from Imu's body. Imu slowly stood up. Golden flames began to emerge from the silver light. Everyone looked over and saw that the shattered silver divine armor on Imu's body was actually repairing itself. This is the undying power of the undying bloodline. A female disciple from the heavenly palace exclaimed. The undying bloodline was somewhat similar to the phoenix's nirvana power. Imu looked at Lu Yiping in shock and anger. Suddenly, he waved his hands and the power of the 10 divine wills turned into countless light runes that fell from the sky like rain. This is a time rune. Lord Imu wants to arrange a time divine formation. Someone shouted. The crowd was in an uproar. The time divine formation was one of the top 10 ancient formations. In terms of power, it was ranked 2nd. However, it was extremely difficult to arrange a time divine formation. Not only did one need to comprehend the profundity of time, but one also needed to reach an extremely high level in the study of formations. Old Man Heaven's Sorrow was shocked to see Imu arrange a time divine formation. He was the #1 formation master in the eternal star field, but even with his attainments in formations, he couldn't arrange a time divine formation. It didn't take long for the talismans to merge together, forming a series of images that surrounded Lu Yiping. Die! Imu waved his hands and countless time diagrams revolved, forming a long river of time that emitted a shocking time light. Under this time light, everything withered and aged. Lu Yiping was also drowned by the light from the river of time. The power of the river of time surged for a long time. Lu Yiping's figure completely disappeared into the light from the river of time. Everyone was stunned. Even Imu was surprised. Right at this time, everyone saw a figure walk out from the light from the river of time. It was Lu Yiping. You're fine after being hit by my time divine formation. Imu couldn't believe it. Everyone looked at Lu Yiping in shock. Lu Yiping's expression remained unchanged. Is this considered a time divine formation? Imu was dumbfounded. The time divine formation he had arranged wasn't considered a time divine formation. "Alright, I'm not going to play with you anymore," Lu Yiping said. He raised his hand and punched out. Mu saw a time river that was several hundred times bigger than his time divine formation flying out from Lu Yiping's fist. Mu was drowned by the time river in an instant. The time river surged towards the end of heaven's path. 10 level 10 destiny god kings were completely annihilated. Chapter 323. As Mu was blasted to the end of heaven's path, his 10 rank 10 fate wills also began to crumble. In the end, all of them disappeared and returned to heaven and earth. Everyone stared at the end of heaven's path, unable to shift their gazes away for a long time. A god king with 10 fate wills being killed, this was extremely shocking. Even in the past battles for fate wills, it was rare for someone with 10 fate wills to fall. But now, before the fate wills were born and the battle had yet to begin, a god king with 10 fate wills was killed. Moreover, it was a god king with 10 fate wills and the silver-winged divine manners Mu. Ionic divine manners Sikong Nan and silver-winged divine manners Mu were known as the two manner masters of the lower realm. Many manner masters of star fields were under their command. But now, one of the two manner masters, Mu, had died in the hands of an ancient god. Everyone's mood was complicated as they looked at the light blue figure standing with his hands behind his back and the 17 totems in the sky. Lu Yiping looked at the experts of the silver-winged divine manner and old man Tianbei. The experts of the silver-winged divine manner and old man Tianbei's expression changed drastically as they retreated in fear. "Lord Lu, please don't misunderstand. Mu and I only met by chance." Old man Tianbei explained, "We have no intention of becoming enemies with Lord Lu." Vice Manor Master Shu Gao cupped his fists and said, "Mu is courting death by becoming enemies with Lord Lu. We have no intention of becoming enemies with Lord Lu." His attitude was respectful and sincere. The commanders and vice-commanders of the silver-winged divine manor exchanged glances. In the crowd, Yi Quan was staring at Lu Yiping with killing intent. At this time, Shu Gao suddenly turned around and sent Yi Quan flying with a palm strike. When Yi Quan landed on the ground, his body had cracked and his vitality was fading away. He was dead. Yi Quan was only a peak late-stage ancient god. How could he withstand a palm strike from Shu Gao's 10 fate wills? Everyone was shocked at Shu Gao's ruthlessness when they saw Shu Gao kill Yi Quan without hesitation to express his intentions to Lu Yiping. The experts of the silver-winged divine manor kept quiet out of fear. There were two god monarchs with 10 wills. One was Mu and the other was Shu Gao. Now that Mu was dead, Shu Gao's cultivation was the strongest. With his prestige, no one dared to say anything. After that, Shu Gao struck again, killing Qingyue on the spot. Then, he turned to Lu Yiping and said, "Master Lu, don't worry. When the time comes, I will send another expert to appoint the Northern Wilderness Divine Prefecture as an ally." Then, he added, "Or, I will let someone from the Azure Thunder Divine Sect take over as the Northern Wilderness Divine Prefecture's chief." Lu Yiping retrieved the 17 totems and asked, "Let the Azure Thunder Sect take over the Northern Wilderness Divine Prefecture?" Shu Gao hurriedly said, "Yes, of course. In the future, the Azure Thunder Divine Sect doesn't need to listen to the orders of my Silver-Winged Divine Mansion." Lu Yiping nodded, then asked Su Teng to take over the position of the Northern Wilderness Prefecture Lord. Su Teng was overjoyed and respectfully complied. Then, Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, Su Teng, Tang Bin, and the rest left the scene. Everyone watched as Lu Yiping's group left, but no one said a word. Shu Gao felt his legs trembling. "Fourth senior sister, are we still going to the Qi family?" A female disciple from the heavenly palace asked. Fourth senior sister Yen Hong looked at the direction Lu Yiping left with a complicated expression and said, "Let's not go to the Qi family for now. First, let's report to the palace master that in this era, a monstrous genius with 17 totems has appeared." Soon, the news of the 17 totem ancient gods killing the silver-winged emperor Mu spread throughout the heavens path. The heavenly palace. Xiao Qing was stunned for a long time when he heard the news. Then, he exclaimed, 17 totem ancient gods. The heavenly palace's ancestors were equally shocked. That's impossible. One of the ancestors exclaimed, in the ancient times, there were only 13 totems. Our heavenly palace has exhausted countless resources, but we were unable to cultivate 14 totems. How can there be a 17 totem ancient god in this world? The other ancestors also had a look of disbelief. This was hard to believe. 17 totems was simply unimaginable. In the main hall, the ancestors were all agitated. After a long while, the heavenly palace's palace master Xiao Qing said, Yan Hong and the rest saw it with their own eyes. Many experts in the ghost town also saw it. This person is called Lu Yiping. He killed the silver-winged Emperor Yi with the power of 17 totems. The ancestors were dumbfounded. The silver-winged Emperor is dead? One of the ancestors stuttered. The ancestors were well aware of the silver-winged Emperor Yi's strength. Some of them had even fought with Yi. Yi's strength could be ranked in the top 10 among the ancestors in the heavenly palace. Such an existence was killed by an ancient god? Dead. Xiao Qing sighed. Yan Hong said that Lu Yiping's totems were shockingly huge. They had never seen such a huge totem before. When the 17 totems were summoned, they covered the entire ghost town's sky. At that time, the ghost town was plunged into darkness. The shockwaves created by the 17 totems rushed out countless miles outside the ghost town. The silver-winged emperor was killed by a divine time fist. The 17 totems had covered the entire ghost town's sky. Although no one knew how big the 17 totems were, they could imagine the scene. Was it old Devil Time's divine time fist? One of the ancestors suddenly asked. Yes. Xiao Qing nodded. However, when Lu Yiping punched out with his divine time fist, the river of time filled the heavens and earth. Yi was blasted several miles away from the ghost town. Silence filled the hall. After a long time, one of the ancestors said, it doesn't matter if he has 17 or 18 totems. No matter who obstructs our heavenly palace from competing for the chaos heaven's will, they will all be killed. Xiao Qing did not say anything. At this time, the group of Aeon God Manners experts who had rushed to the heavens path also received the news of the silver-winged emperor's death. Young Manor Lord Sikong Fei was stunned for a long time. The silver-winged emperor died in Lu Yiping's hands? Lu Yiping is a 17 totem ancient god? The Aeon God Manor Lord Sikong Nan stood up with a frown on his face. He didn't say a word as he walked to the front of the palace gates and looked at the distant sky. After Lu Yiping killed Yi, the heavens path shook violently and became much quieter. The 17 totem ancient gods were like a curse that weighed down on the hearts of the experts who came to the heavens path. Even the 10 Wills God Kings who usually ruled over a star field or several star fields felt their momentum weakened when they led their subordinates to the heavens path. TSK, 17 totem ancient gods killed a 10 Wills God King. This Lu Yiping, I'm afraid only 11 Wills God Kings can fight him, right? However, the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Now, many 10 Wills God Kings see Lu Yiping as a thorn in their side. I've heard that many 10 Wills God Kings and 11 Wills God Kings have the intention of joining forces to kill Lu Yiping. Now that the primal chaos heavens will has appeared, I wonder who will get their hands on it. The experts from various forces discussed fervently. In a certain residence in the ghost city, Lu Yiping also heard the discussions about him in the outside world. However, he didn't take it to heart. My lord, the Massacre God Pavilion's envoy is outside and he requests to see you. Che Ziping came in and reported to Lu Yiping. The Massacre God Pavilion, like the Heavenly Palace, was one of the 3 strongest forces in the Heaven's Path. Chapter 324. Oh, Massacre God Pavilion's envoy? Lu Yiping muttered, let him in. Che Ping nodded and went out. Not long later, he led a middle-aged man in. The middle-aged man was very tall and was around 2.5 meters tall. He was even thicker than Taurus Longjiao. When he walked, he gave off a very heavy feeling. Lu Yiping could tell that the other party was a god king with 10 wills. After Zhuang Yiming entered, he softened his footsteps and walked to Lu Yiping. He cupped his fists and bowed respectfully. Massacre God Pavilion's Zhuang Yiming greets Lord Lu. Massacre God Pavilion asked you to come and see me. What's the matter? Lu Yiping asked. Zhuang Yiming cupped his fists and said respectfully, our Massacre God Pavilion and Qian Yuan sect are holding a meeting of heroes. We have invited God Kings with 10 wills to participate and discuss the chaos destiny. Pavilion Master asked me to invite Lord Lu. Oh, God Kings with 10 wills. Taurus Longjiao chuckled. Our master isn't a God King with 10 wills. Zhuang Yiming quickly smiled. Lord Lu's battle strength is comparable to a God King with 11 wills. You are an important guest that our Massacre God Pavilion has invited. He then took out an invitation and respectfully presented it to Lu Yiping. Lu Yiping took the invitation and looked at its contents. All right, I got it. You can go back. Lu Yiping said. He didn't say whether he was going or not. Zhuang Yiming said respectfully, at that time, our Massacre God Pavilion will be waiting for Lord Lu's arrival. He bowed and left. Taurus Longjiao looked at the invitation and said, Massacre God Pavilion and Qian Yuan sect are holding a meeting of heroes? It seems like Massacre God Pavilion and Qian Yuan sect are working together. Qian Yuan sect was as famous as Massacre God Pavilion and Heaven Palace. They were also one of the 3 major powers in Heaven's Road. Che Ziping said, Massacre God Pavilion and Qian Yuan sect are holding a meeting of heroes and inviting God Kings with 10 wills. I don't think their intentions are pure. Lu Yiping said, let's go and see what Massacre God Pavilion and Qian Yuan sect have to say. The news of Massacre God Pavilion and Qian Yuan sect organizing the heroes gathering quickly spread throughout Heaven's Road. Old Man Tianbei, Sikong Nan, and the other God Kings with 10 Heaven's wills had all received invitations from Massacre God Pavilion and Qian Yuan sect. Father, the Massacre God Pavilion is holding this heroes gathering. I'm afraid it's a Hongmen banquet. Sikong Yifei said. Sikong Nan thought for a moment and said, there's no harm in going. With so many divine kings with 10 heavens wills gathered, the Massacre Divine Pavilion and the Qian Yuan sect wouldn't dare to play any tricks. I also want to meet some old friends. As the master of the Ionic God Palace, Sikong Nan naturally had many friends who were God Kings with 10 wills. The next day, Lu Yiping and the others set off for the Massacre God Pavilion. Su Ting also followed Lu Yiping's group of 3 to the Massacre God Pavilion. However, Zhou Can, Tang Shuiyao, Tang Bin, and the rest were waiting for Lu Yiping's group in the ghost town. Lu Yiping's group of 4 took the Black Dragon flying ship. Nothing happened during the journey. 2 days later, the 4 of them arrived at the Massacre God Pavilion. The Massacre God Pavilion was located in the depths of the Heaven's Path. The entire plain was occupied by the Massacre God Pavilion. Regardless of whether it was the Heavenly Palace or the Qian Yuan sect, they both occupied a plain in the Heaven's Path. When Lu Yiping's group of 4 arrived, the experts of the Massacre God Pavilion immediately welcomed Lu Yiping's group into the Massacre God Pavilion's headquarters. They arranged a palace for Lu Yiping's group of 4 to stay in. Su Teng looked at the endless palaces of the Massacre God Pavilion and the experts that were as vast as the sea. He was extremely shocked. Even Che Ziping was inwardly shocked when he saw the grandeur of the Massacre God Pavilion. In the Ionic star field, there were very few ancient gods with 11 totems. However, in this place, 11 totems ancient gods were not rare. This Massacre God Pavilion does have some grandeur. Taurus Longjiao said. Su Teng smiled bitterly. The Massacre God Pavilion covered the entire plain. The experts were as vast as the sea. Divine kings with heaven's wills could be seen everywhere. Honestly speaking, this was the first time he had seen a sect that was so powerful. There were still a few days before the gathering of heroes. Hence, Lu Yiping's group had nothing to do. They left the palace and strolled around casually. Other than a few forbidden areas in the Massacre God Pavilion that they couldn't enter, the Massacre God Pavilion didn't have any other restrictions. I heard that this time, our Massacre God Pavilion has invited 4 divine kings with 11 totems. What? 4? That's right. This time, when the primal chaos heavens will appeared, many reclusive old antiques have appeared. Among the 4 old antiques, 3 of them are from the Middle Ancient Era, and 1 of them is from the Ancient Era. I heard that he is the senior brother of the Master of Myriad Gods. What? The senior brother of the Master of Myriad Gods? That's right. I think he is called the Master of 10,000 Swords. In front of them, a few experts of the Massacre God Pavilion were discussing. Che Zipeng was also shocked. The senior brother of the Master of Myriad Gods? As for Su Teng, he was even more shocked. The Master of Myriad Gods had dominated countless star fields in the past. His legends were still being talked about by many star fields experts. Right now, the Massacre God Pavilion had actually invited the senior brother of the Master of Myriad Gods? Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao were puzzled. According to what they knew, the Master of Myriad Gods didn't have any senior brothers. They knew that the Master of Myriad Gods had only accepted 1 disciple, the Master of Myriad Gods. This can't be real, right? Che Zipeng couldn't help but ask. Taurus Longjiao sneered, of course it's fake. How could there be any senior brothers in Sioux City? Right at this time, several old men walked over from afar. Similar to Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao, they weren't wearing the Massacre God Pavilion's robes. It was obvious that they were also experts invited by the Massacre God Pavilion. When they heard Taurus Longjiao's words, they couldn't help but look over. Brat, what did you just say? Did you say that my master's identity is fake? Indifferent looks appeared in the eyes of one of them. Another person looked at Su Teng and said, didn't the Massacre God Pavilion say that they would only invite God Kings with 10 heavenly wills? An ant like that also has the qualifications to enter? Taurus Longjiao mocked, if an ant like you has the qualifications to enter, why can't he? You're courting death. One of them punched at the bowl. Godly King Tian Ming's power gushed out. Faintly, 6 heavens' wills appeared around him. He was a godly king with 6 heavens' wills. However, Taurus Longjiao didn't even look at him as he sent a slap over. Paw! A loud and clear sound rang out. The other party was sent flying by Taurus Longjiao, smashing into a mountain peak in the distance. The mountain peak in the distance was where one of the Massacre God Pavilion's branches refined pills. The golden walls of the palace were shattered in an instant. The palace collapsed, and the golden walls were riddled with holes. In the distance, the Massacre God Pavilion's experts who were talking about the Master of Myriad Gods were stunned. The other disciples of the Master of Myriad Swords were also stunned when they saw their senior brother being sent flying. Soon, countless Massacre God Pavilion's experts flew over. When the experts from the Massacre Divine Pavilion saw the mountain peak and the alchemy palace that had been destroyed beyond recognition, their expressions turned ugly. One of the experts from the Massacre God Pavilion looked at the dragon horn golden bowl and said in a low voice, "You are an honored guest invited by my Massacre God Pavilion. However, you dare to act as you wish in my Massacre God Pavilion's territory and even destroy my palace and alchemy mountain. Aren't you looking down on my Massacre God Pavilion?" Chapter 325. All of the Massacre God Pavilion's experts' gazes landed on Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao's group. One of the Master of 10,000 Swords disciples raged, "My master is the Master of 10,000 Swords, and he was invited by you to the Massacre God Pavilion. Now that my senior brother is injured in your sect, you have to give us an explanation." The expressions of the Massacre God Pavilion's experts changed. They naturally knew what kind of existence the Master of 10,000 Swords was. The Master of 10,000 Swords was the person with the highest status among the people invited by the Massacre God Pavilion. Just as the Massacre God Pavilion's experts were about to speak to Taurus Longjiao, a figure whistled through the air. When the Massacre God Pavilion's experts saw the newcomer, they quickly bowed and greeted, "Greetings, Lord Ancestor." The newcomer was Zhuang Yiming, one of the Massacre God Pavilion's ancestors. Any god king with 10 heavens' wills was the Massacre God Pavilion's ancestor. After Zhuang Yiming arrived at the scene, he walked over to Lu Yiping, cupped his fists, and bowed with a smile. Lord Lu, this is all a misunderstanding. Everyone here is an esteemed guest invited by my Massacre God Pavilion. Please don't make a move on account of my Massacre God Pavilion. If there's anything wrong with our hospitality, my Massacre God Pavilion will apologize. He then turned to the Massacre God Pavilion's experts and said, "This is Lu Yiping, Lord Lu." The Massacre God Pavilion's experts were shocked. 17 totems Lu Yiping. Even the Master of 10,000 Swords disciples were shocked. When the Massacre God Pavilion invited a God King with 10 heavens' wills, they thought that these people would at most be a God King with 10 heavens' wills. This young man was actually Lu Yiping. Even though Lu Yiping was an ancient god, Lu Yiping's status far surpassed a God King with 10 heavens' wills. His status was comparable to a God King with 11 heavens' wills. Taurus Longjiao looked at the Master of 10,000 Swords disciples and asked, "You still want to make a move?" The Master of 10,000 Swords disciples hesitated. "Go back and tell your master not to use the title of the Master of 10,000 Gods' senior brother to swindle others," Taurus Longjiao said. The Master of Myriad Gods' disciples had ugly expressions on their faces, but they didn't dare to say anything. Lu Yiping, Long Jiaojin, and the others left. Watching Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao's group disappear, the Master of Myriad Gods' disciples clenched their fists tightly, their eyes filled with hatred. When Zhuang Yiming saw that the Massacre God Pavilion's experts were still standing there in a daze, he couldn't help but berate them, "Why aren't you saving them?" Only then did the Massacre God Pavilion's experts react, and they hurriedly rescued the Master of 10,000 Swords' eldest disciple from the mountain peak. Under the treatment of the Massacre God Pavilion's experts, the eldest disciple of the Master of 10,000 Swords finally regained consciousness. After that, the other disciples of the Master of 10,000 Swords brought him away. After they left, Zhuang Yiming returned to the ancestral land. Not long after, the Master of 10,000 Swords disciples returned to their palace and met with him. When the Master of 10,000 Swords learned that his eldest disciple had been severely injured by Lu Yiping's slave, his face sank. "Also, Master," his slave warned Master not to use the Master of Myriad Gods' name to swindle others. His second disciple added. The Master of Myriad Gods' face instantly turned murderous. "I'm using the Master of Myriad Gods' name to swindle others. Master, this Lu Yiping is simply too presumptuous. Even a slave like him dares to scold Master, and he even injured eldest senior brother to this extent." His second disciple raged, "Master, if you don't respond to this matter, how will the God King realm experts with 10 wills look at us?" The Master of 10,000 Swords' eyes grew colder. "There's no hurry. In any case, the hero assembly will be held in a few days. At that time, in front of the God King realm experts, I will prove to Lu Yiping that I'm not the Master of Myriad Gods' junior brother." At this time, inside the Massacre God Pavilion's ancestral land, Zhuang Yiming was recounting the conflict between Lu Yiping and the Master of 10,000 Swords disciples to Huang Fushi and a group of ancestors. Huang Fushi, who had 11 wills, said solemnly, "I'll go and mediate." Right at this time, a dignified voice came from the depths of the Massacre God Pavilion's ancestral land, "No need to mediate." Hearing this voice, Huang Fushi, Zhuang Yiming, and the others hurried to their feet and bowed respectfully, "Lord Ancestor Xian." That Ancestor Xian's voice sounded again, since Lu Yiping's subordinates believe that the Master of 10,000 Swords is using the Master of Myriad Gods' name to swindle others, then spread the news. Moreover, spread it so that everyone knows about it. Incite the Master of 10,000 Swords' hatred towards Lu Yiping. During the hero assembly, it's best to let the Master of 10,000 Swords and Lu Yiping fight, or let the God King realm experts with 10 wills come to blows. Huang Fushi was stunned for a second, but he understood Ancestor Xian's meaning. As for the conflict between Lu Yiping and the Master of 10,000 Swords disciple, it quickly spread. The experts of the Aeon Divine Manor who rushed over to the Massacre God Pavilion also heard the news. Sikonifei said, I heard that the master of 10,000 swords isn't an ordinary god king with 11 wills. I wonder who's stronger between him and Lu Yiping. Sikong Nan said solemnly, if Lu Yiping is really just a 17-totem ancient god, he's dead for sure when facing the master of 10,000 swords. Sikong Yifei and the experts of the Aeon Divine Manor were shocked. Father, is the master of 10,000 swords that strong? Sikong Yifei couldn't help asking. Very strong. Sikong Nan nodded with a solemn expression. I thought that he had already ascended to the higher realms. I didn't expect him to remain in the lower realms. The master of 10,000 swords' strength can only be described as terrifying. During the Middle Ages, he was already able to kill a god king with 11 wills. What, he was able to kill a god king with 11 wills in the Middle Ages? Sikong Yifei and the others were shocked. A god king with 11 wills, even in the heaven's path, was a peak overlord. Now that the master of 10,000 swords was able to kill a god king with 11 wills in the Middle Ages, how terrifying would his strength be after hundreds of thousands of years? That's right. Sikong Nan said solemnly, the master of 10,000 swords cultivates the supreme sword Tao, focusing on the Tao of offense. His attacks are terrifyingly strong. Even with 11 wills, he can easily kill an expert of the same realm. During the Middle Ages, he was already a god king with 11 wills. A god king with 11 wills in the Middle Ages. Sikong Yifei and the others found it hard to imagine the master of 10,000 swords' current strength. Therefore, if Lu Yiping is only a 17-totem ancient god, he's dead for sure. Sikong Nan said, he might not even be able to take 3 moves from the master of 10,000 swords. Sikong Yifei and the others' eyes widened. Couldn't take 3 moves? Did that mean he could only take 2 moves from the master of 10,000 swords? Sikong Nan frowned. I didn't think that the master of 10,000 swords would also come out to compete for the primal chaos heaven's will. This is definitely not a good thing for us. In Sikong Nan's view, the master of 10,000 swords, who was even more terrifying than Lu Yiping, had come out to compete for the primal chaos heaven's will. Several days quickly passed. During these days, Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, and the others stayed in the palace to cultivate and didn't go out. On the day of the hero gathering, Zhuang Yiming came early to invite Lu Yiping and the others. Chapter 326. An ordinary god king with 10 heavens wills wouldn't be qualified for Zhuang Yiming, a god king with 10 heavens wills, to personally invite Lu Yiping. However, Zhuang Yiming had personally invited Lu Yiping. From this, it could be seen that the Massacre God Pavilion valued Lu Yiping. Under Zhuang Yiming's invitation, Lu Yiping and the rest headed towards the venue of the Gathering of Heroes. The Gathering of Heroes was held at Massacre God Pavilion's Heaven Upholding Peak, which was one of the highest peaks of Massacre God Pavilion. However, even though Heaven Upholding Peak was the highest peak of Massacre God Pavilion, it was still quite far from the main hall. Not long later, Lu Yiping and the rest saw Heaven Upholding Peak. Heaven Upholding Peak, just like its name, towered into the sky. It was unknown how many tens of thousands of feet tall it was. Starting from the waist of the mountain, it was shrouded in clouds. Looking at the towering Heaven Upholding Peak, Taurus Longjiao sneered inwardly. On the surface, there wasn't anything special about these palaces. However, there was a secret hidden beneath each palace. There were array cores beneath each palace, and all the array cores were linked together to form a heaven-suppressing god-slaughtering array. Furthermore, each array core had been strengthened by Massacre God Pavilion. Once this heaven-suppressing god-slaughtering array was activated, even a god king with 10 heavens wills would find it hard to escape. However, this heaven-suppressing god-slaughtering array was extremely hidden. Even a god king with 12 heavens wills wouldn't be able to see through it. Of course, it couldn't escape the eyes of Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. Lu Yiping's expression was calm. Everyone arrived at the plaza in front of Heaven Upholding Peak and landed in front of a magnificent palace. Zhuang Yiming said respectfully, Lord Lu, please. Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, and the rest entered the palace. The interior of the palace was very spacious. When one walked in, It was like an ant crawling inside. There were many thrones on both sides of the palace. Every throne was made with extremely expensive divine crystals. They were extremely glorious, and the light from the thrones reflected off each other. There were already many experts sitting on the 2 thrones. They were all god kings with 10 heavens' wills who were invited this time. Behind these god kings stood a group of experts who were their subordinates. For this hero gathering, the Massacre God Pavilion had invited a total of over 200 god kings with 10 heavens' wills. For example, the Eternal Star area had more than 10 god kings with 10 heavens' wills. It wasn't strange that there were more than 200 god kings with 10 heavens' wills in the hundreds of thousands of star areas. Of course, the lower realms were vast and boundless. There were definitely more than 200 deity kings with 10 wills. Seeing Lu Yiping and the others enter with Zhuang Yiming, many of the god kings with 10 wills turned to look at Lu Yiping. On the highest throne at the very front, an extremely fat old man with long red hair also looked at Lu Yiping. "He's Lu Yiping?" the old man asked indifferently. "Master, it's him." A young man behind the old man hurriedly said, "I saw it clearly when I was in the ghost town. He was the one who activated the 17 totems to kill Emu." The old man nodded and looked at Lu Yiping. Scarlet light surged in his eyes as he emitted a mysterious energy. He wanted to see through Lu Yiping. This old man was one of the 411 Heavens Wills God Kings invited by the Massacre God Pavilion. His name was Qi Mingtian, and he had already intimidated many star areas during the Middle Ancient Era. However, no matter how hard Qi Mingtian looked, he couldn't see anything. The feeling he got from Lu Yiping was that he was in a state of chaos. Qi Mingtian couldn't help but feel puzzled. "Lord Lu, this is your seat." Zhuang Yiming brought Lu Yiping to the second throne at the very front and said. Qi Mingtian couldn't help but frown. He was an 11 Heavens Wills God King who had made a name for himself during the Middle Ancient Era. However, the Massacre God Pavilion had arranged for him to be the 5th seat. Lu Yiping was in second place. Although Lu Yiping's battle strength was comparable to an 11 Heavens Wills God King, he was still just an ancient god. Seeing Lu Yiping sitting on the second throne, a disciple behind Qi Mingtian couldn't help but say, "What qualifications does Lu Yiping have to sit on the second throne? The Massacre God Pavilion must be blind." In the main hall, the other 10 Heavens Wills God Kings were also whispering to each other, occasionally looking at Lu Yiping. Sitting on the 6th throne was the Aeon Divine Manners Manor Lord, Sikong Nan. Sikong Nan also frowned when he saw that Lu Yiping was in second place. He was the first star domain's manor lord and had control over countless star domains. Although he was at the peak of the 10 Heavens Wills God King realm, his battle strength wasn't any weaker than an 11 Heavens Wills God King. He was only placed in 6th place, but Lu Yiping was in second place. A while later, the other 2 11 Heavens Wills God King realm old fogies arrived one after another. They were placed in 3rd and 4th place respectively. Although they didn't say anything when they saw that Lu Yiping was in second place, they were clearly unhappy. The Sovereign of 10,000 Swords has arrived. Just as the main hall was filled with people, an expert from the Massacre God Pavilion shouted from outside. Everyone turned to look at the main hall's entrance. An elegant young man wearing a white brocade robe walked in, followed by 5 old men. For many people in the main hall, this was their first time seeing the Sovereign of 10,000 Swords. When they saw that the Sovereign of 10,000 Swords was an elegant and scholarly young man, they couldn't help but be surprised. The Sovereign of 10,000 Swords led his disciples into the main hall. His pace wasn't fast, but every step he took was like a lotus flower. Many experts in the main hall had solemn expressions when they saw the lotus flower beneath the Sovereign of 10,000 Swords' feet. Lotus flowers blooming with every step. Sikong Nan said as he stared at the lotus flower beneath the Sovereign of 10,000 Swords' feet. In ancient times, when a sage passed down the Tao, golden lotuses would bloom from the ground. The golden lotuses contained supreme grand Tao laws, and the lotus flower beneath the Sovereign of 10,000 Swords' feet contained supreme sword laws. Even the 311 Heavens Wills God King realm old fogies had solemn expressions. The Massacre God Pavilion's experts led the sovereign of 10,000 swords to the first throne. When they passed by Lu Yiping, the eldest disciple behind him said to the sovereign of 10,000 swords, "Master, he is Lu Yiping." The sovereign of 10,000 swords turned to look at Lu Yiping. 17 totems. The sovereign of 10,000 swords glanced at Lu Yiping from the corner of his eyes, then walked to his seat and sat down. With the arrival of the sovereign of 10,000 swords, the main hall was quickly filled. A short while later, the Massacre God Pavilion's pavilion master Huangfu Shi and Qianyuan sect chief Yao Kai led the Massacre God Pavilion and Qianyuan sect's experts into the main hall. Huangfu Shi and Yao Kai were both 11 Heaven's Wills God Kings, and behind them were 10 Heaven's Wills God Kings from the Massacre God Pavilion and Qianyuan sect. In the Eternal Star Field, there were several tens of thousands of worlds, but there were only slightly more than 10 Heaven's Wills God Kings. Now, the Massacre God Pavilion and Qianyuan sect had 10 Heaven's Wills God Kings. Seeing this, the hearts of the experts in the main hall sank. It was clear that the Massacre God Pavilion and Qianyuan sect had more than that. The Massacre God Pavilion and Qianyuan sect's strength exceeded many experts' estimation. Huangfu Shi and Yao Kai walked to the center of the main hall and sat down. After taking their seats, Huangfu Shi was the first to speak. "The Massacre God Pavilion and Qianyuan sect are holding a great assembly. Huangfu Shi and brother Yao Kai are deeply honored to have all of you here." He then raised his cup. "Let me toast everyone." Everyone raised their cups and drained them. Then, Huangfu Shi started to chat with everyone. They were all talking about unimportant topics. After 3 rounds of wine, the sovereign of 10,000 swords suddenly questioned Lu Yiping. "Lu Yiping, your servant said that I used the sovereign of myriad gods' name to swindle others. Is this true?" The sovereign of 10,000 swords' voice reverberated in the main hall, and sword chi filled the air. Everyone stopped what they were doing. Chapter 327. Lu Yiping didn't say anything. Taurus Longjiao chuckled, "What? You don't like it, so you're looking for a beating?" Everyone was startled and had a strange expression. The master of 10,000 swords began to laugh, and his laughter grew louder and louder. It was a laugh of extreme anger, and anyone could hear the fury and killing intent in his voice. "Looking for a beating?" The Lord of Myriad Swords said, "You're right, I really want to try being beaten." At this point, a shocking aura erupted from his body. The palace trembled. The sky-bearing peak shook as well. Next, a dazzling heavens will that was 1,200 miles long flew out. The power of the heavens will swept out and filled the entire hall. "Level 12 Heavens Will." Sikong Nan blurted out. Everyone stared at the heavens will that flew out in shock. For example, the Silverwing King, Imu, had a level 10 Heaven's Will. But now, the Lord of Myriad Swords had a level 12 Heaven's Will. At the same level, there was a huge difference between a level 10 and 11 Heavenly Fate Realm. A level 11 Heavenly Fate Realm cultivator could easily defeat a level 10 Heavenly Fate Realm cultivator. Moreover, the difference between the 12th and the 10th level was like the difference between heaven and earth. Next, another Heavens Will flew out. It was also 1,200 miles long and was also a level 12 Heaven's Will. Soon, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Heaven's Wills appeared. Soon, 10 12th level Heaven's Wills appeared in the sky. Their terrifying power created waves that crashed into the surrounding mountains. The towering sky peak trembled as if it was about to collapse. At this time, the 11th Heaven's Will flew out. It was also a level 12 Heaven's Will. A godly king with 11 Heaven's Wills, and all of them are level 12. Old Man Heaven's Sorrow and the other godly kings in the hall were shocked. Many godly kings only fused with 3 or 4 Heaven's Wills. Even someone like Old Man Heaven's Sorrow, who was ranked 4th on the sovereign leaderboard, only fused with 9 Heaven's Wills. But now, the Lord of Myriad Swords had fused with 12 Heaven's Will. Seeing the Lord of Myriad Swords level 12 Heaven's Will, everyone finally understood why the Lord of Myriad Swords could easily kill a god monarch with 11 Heaven's Will. Ordinary 11 Wills God Kings at the same level of cultivation probably wouldn't even be able to take a single blow from the Lord of Swords. The shockwaves from the 11 12th level Heaven's Wills swept out in all directions. Sensing the astonishing power of the Master of Swords' Heaven's Will, even Crimson Ming Tian, Huang Fushi, and Yao Kai, who all had 11 wills, paled. The Lord of Swords summoned his 11 wills and casually waved his hand. Their power surged out and fused with the sword energy, aiming for Taurus Longjiao. I do want to see how it feels to be whipped by someone, but I don't know if a slave like you has the strength to do so, the Master of 10,000 Swords said coldly. Tens of thousands of sword chi instantly arrived in front of Taurus Longjiao. Every ray of sword chi was unfathomable. Each strand of sword chi contained power that surpassed the full-powered strike of many 10 Wills God Kings. Sword attacks were strong to begin with, and with the Master of 10,000 Swords' 11 wills, one could imagine how terrifying they were. Sensing the destructive power of the sword chi, all the experts present quickly retreated. At the same time, they all looked at Lu Yiping, wanting to see how Lu Yiping would save his slave. Lu Yiping was indeed a 17-totem ancient god, but he probably wouldn't be able to stop the Lord of Swords' 11 12th level Heaven's Wills. However, to everyone's surprise, Lu Yiping sat there motionlessly as if he had no intention of making a move. Amidst everyone's confusion, the world began to violently tremble. Next, a huge totem flew out. Each of the Lord of Swords' 12th level Heaven's Wills spanned 1,200 miles, but they were pitifully small before this totem. Looking at the incomparably huge totem in front of them, everyone was stunned. They looked at the dragon horn golden bull in disbelief. Lu Yiping's golden retriever's totem is also this big. Sikong Yifei was shocked. Lu Yiping's totem is also this big? An expert who had never seen Lu Yiping's totem before asked. No, Lu Yiping's totem is even bigger than this. An expert shook his head. Everyone was stunned. Even bigger than this? Next, the second, third, and fourth totems flew out one after another. In an instant, there were 12 totems. After the 12th, the 13th totem flew out. 13 totems. Everyone was shocked. The Lord of Swords' expression sank. I don't believe that you have 17 totems like Lu Yiping. Next, 14, 15, 16, and 17 totems flew out, overwhelming everyone. The 17 totems hung in the sky, illuminating the world with their radiance. 17 totems. Everyone was stunned. But at this time, another totem flew out. 18 totems. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Lu Yiping's slave actually has 18 totems. Just when everyone thought that it was over, they saw another totem fly out of the sky. 19 totems. The several disciples behind the Lord of Swords trembled. Old Man Tian Bei and the rest of the divine kings with 10 Heaven's Wills felt their bodies sink as if thousands of mountains were pressing down on them. At this time, the power of Taurus Longjiao's 19 totems had already surpassed the power of many divine kings with 10 Heaven's Wills. But it was not over yet. Under everyone's gaze, another 2 totems flew out. 21 totems emitted resplendent light in the sky. Terrifying energy waves swept towards the Massacre God Pavilion's mountain peaks. Everyone stared at the 21 totems in the sky in a daze. The Massacre God Pavilion's Pavilion Master Huang Fushi, Qianyuan Sect's Sect Master Yao Kai, and the rest were also stunned. 21 totems. Sikong Nan could no longer feel his own heartbeat. Taurus Longjiao suddenly struck out with his palm. As his palm struck out, lightning filled the sky. A giant lightning palm smashed apart the Lord of Swords' sword chi, scattering the 11 level 12 Heaven's Will's power. Then, it continued to strike at the Lord of Swords. The Lord of Swords stared at the giant lightning palm that blotted out the sky. In his shock, he punched out, wanting to block the lightning palm. However, the lightning palm blasted away his fist force in the blink of an eye, striking with unstoppable momentum. Everyone watched as the Lord of Swords was sent flying by the lightning palm. The throne behind him exploded, and the Lord of Swords himself was sent flying, crashing into Huang Fushi and Yao Kai. Huangfu Shi and Yao Kai dodged in fear. Just as they dodged, the Lord of Swords smashed through their thrones. In the end, the Lord of Swords was sent flying out of the hall, rolling all the way to the edge of the heaven-raising peak. Everyone was silent. The Lord of Swords with 11 level 12 heavens wills was sent flying just like that. Everyone looked in Lu Yiping's direction, but this time, they weren't looking at Lu Yiping, but at Taurus Longjiao. The Lord of Swords who was sent flying lay motionless on the ground. A long time later, he slowly stood up. The Lord of Swords stared fixedly at Taurus Longjiao, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth. There was shock, disbelief, anger, and killing intent in his eyes. Courting death. His voice was frosty. At this time, everyone saw another heavens will flying out from his body. 12 heavens wills God King. Chapter 328. Everyone stared at the Lord of Myriad Swords' 12th will in awe. A 12 wills God King. Crimson Mingtian muttered. A 12 wills God King has appeared. Sikong Nan and the rest were shocked beyond words. The appearance of a 12 wills God King shocked everyone. It was no less shocking than Taurus Longjiao's 21 totems earlier. The 12 wills spanned across the Jotian. Their terrifying power caused the Jotian's airflow to boil. The Lord of Myriad Swords walked step by step towards Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. With every step the Lord of Swords took, a lotus of light would surge out from beneath his feet. Like vines, streams of sword energy would wrap around the Lord of Swords' body. Moreover, as the Lord of Swords moved forward, the number of vine-like streams of sword energy would increase. What kind of sword energy is this? A God King exclaimed. Sword energy could actually take the form of vines? One had to know that sword energy was formless. It wasn't easy for it to take physical form, let alone take the form of vines. Sword energy can take on a myriad of forms. Is this sword transformation? Old man Tianbei asked. However, he wasn't too sure. Sword transformation was an extremely high level of sword Dao. It was also the highest level of sword Dao in the lower realm. The Lord of Myriad Swords' footsteps were firm. The sword light around his body grew brighter and brighter. In the end, the sword light turned into pillars that pierced the firmament. Holes were blasted in the firmament. The 12 wills circled around the Jotian, forming a formation diagram. Is this the fusion of wills? Crimson Mingtian was shocked. Although a single will was powerful, its power was more or less dispersed when activated. However, when the wills fused together, their combined power would far surpass the scattered power of the wills. However, the fusion of wills was too difficult. Even Sikong Nan couldn't succeed after countless years of hard work. Huangfu Shi, Yao Kai, and the rest were shocked to see the Lord of Myriad Swords fusing his wills. The more wills one had, the harder it was to fuse them. Die! All of you, die! He roared and waved his hands. The sword energy turned into a river of swords for an unknown length of miles. The power of the 12 heavens wills fused together and rushed towards Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, Che Peng, and Su Teng. The sword river instantly pierced through layers of space and arrived in front of Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao at a terrifying speed. Everyone held their breaths. When the Master of Myriad Swords used 12 wills, his power exceeded the bowls. Now, the 12 wills had fused together. Would Lu Yiping and the bowl be able to stop him with the addition of the sword form power? Taurus Longjiao looked at the river of swords with a calm expression. The golden retriever above his head flickered with golden light, and the surrounding space shook violently. The 22nd totem flew out. While everyone was still in a daze, 23, 24, 25, 26 totems flew out one after another. 13 golden flame totems, roiling dragon chi, and the divine world's laws resembled golden dragons. The other 13 totems flickered with lightning, forming a sea of lightning chi. Lightning gods stood tall between heaven and earth. When Taurus Longjiao punched out, a fist imprint tore through space, accompanied by the roar of 10,000 dragons and the crackling of lightning. Rumble. A thunderous explosion sounded as Taurus Longjiao's fist imprint collided with the River of Swords. The River of Swords exploded. Then, with overwhelming momentum, the fist imprint arrived in front of the Lord of 10,000 Swords. Alarmed, the Lord of 10,000 Swords was instantly sent flying out of the heaven-upholding peak. After smashing through the opposite peak, the Lord of 10,000 Swords crashed into the third peak, then the fourth, and the fifth. All the way to the end. Rumbling noises resounded endlessly, and the sound of mountains collapsing could be heard. As far as the eye could see, sand and dust billowed, filling the sky. Everyone was speechless. The 10,000 Sword Sovereign's disciples were deathly pale. Huang Fushi and Yao Kai's hearts pounded madly. Taurus Longjiao retrieved the 26 totems. Lu Yiping said to Huang Fushi, Massacring God Pavilion Master, I remember you said that the purpose of the gathering was to discuss the birth of the Chaos Heaven's will. Everyone's attention was focused on Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. Great waves roared in their hearts, unable to calm down. Huang Fushi collected his thoughts, suppressing the shock in his heart. He cupped his fists and smiled, Lord Lu is right. Then, he turned to the Crimson Underworld Heaven's Sikong Nan and the other experts who were hiding in the distance and said, Everyone, please take a seat. We will now discuss the birth of the Chaos Heaven's will. Inside the Crimson Underworld Heaven, Sikong Nan and the others looked at the crumbling Great Hall and the broken throne with only the legs of the chairs remaining. They hesitated for a moment, but in the end, they returned to their seats. Those who only had one chair leg sat on the other. Those who didn't even have a chair leg sat on the chair legs, supporting their buttocks. Huang Fushi and Yao Kai didn't even have the legs of their chairs, they were just sitting there. Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao were still present, so no one dared to say that they wanted to leave. Huang Fushi and Yao Kai shared the information about the Chaos Heavens will that the Massacring God Pavilion and Qianyuan sect had gathered. However, when they spoke, they couldn't concentrate and spoke intermittently. Bored, Lu Yiping bid farewell to Taurus Longjiao and left with Che Peng and Su Teng. When they left, Lu Yiping did not expose the heaven-suppressing God-slaughtering formation. Huang Fushi and Yao Kai personally sent Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao off. After leaving the heaven-suppressing peak, Lu Yiping did not stay in the Massacring God Pavilion any longer. He left the Massacring God Pavilion with Taurus Longjiao and the rest. After Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao left, Qi Mingtian, Sikong Nan, and the rest of the experts also left. The grand gathering ended abruptly. After everyone left, Huang Fushi went to the Massacring God Pavilion's ancestral land and reported the results of the gathering to Ancestor Xian. Initially, the Massacring God Pavilion had planned to cause conflict between Lu Yiping, the Myriad Sword Sovereign, Qi Mingtian, Sikong Nan, and the rest, then used the heaven-suppressing God-slaughtering formation to kill the Myriad Sword Sovereign, Lu Yiping, and the rest. However, Taurus Longjiao's strength changed Huang Fushi's mind. Ancestor Xian was silent after hearing the report. It was obvious that he was digesting Taurus Longjiao's information about the 26 totems. Lord Ancestor Xian, when the Chaos Heavenly will appears, I think we should give up and withdraw from the competition. Huang Fushi asked cautiously. With Taurus Longjiao's strength, who would be able to compete with him? Not to mention, there was also Lu Yiping who was even more terrifying. Ancestor Xian did not say anything. The news of the gathering quickly spread to the Heavenly Palace. Shao Qing and the rest of the Heavenly Palace's ancestors were dumbfounded. 26 totems? Shao Qing stuttered. Previously, Lu Yiping had 17 totems, which was shocking and unbelievable. This time, it was even more ruthless as he had 26 totems. Shao Qing and the rest felt that it was absurd. According to the experts present, this Lu Yiping subordinates should have 2 kinds of supreme bloodlines, and each kind of bloodline has condensed 13 totems. Thus, there are 26 totems in total. One of the Heavenly Palace's ancestors said. He hesitated for a moment before continuing, if we can grasp this method, the ancestors with 2 kinds of supreme bloodlines might be able to condense more than 20 totems in the future. Chapter 329. Oh! The Heavenly Palace's palace master, Shao Qing, was moved. No one could resist the temptation of condensing more than 20 totems. He had 2 bloodlines. If he could master the method to condense more than 20 totems, the Heavenly Palace would be invincible in the lower realm. However, when he thought of Taurus Longjiao's 26 totems, Shao Qing sighed and shook his head. Even if we ask Lord Heavenly Ancestor to take action, I'm afraid he won't be able to kill Lu Yiping, the Golden Retriever's subordinate. Moreover, there's still Lu Yiping. The Ancestor said, if we can lure Lu Yiping and his subordinates into our Heavenly Palace's heavenly array, with Lord Heavenly Ancestor's strength and the help of our Heavenly Palace's several hundred ancestors, we might be able to suppress Lu Yiping and his subordinates. The heavenly array was the Heavenly Palace's strongest divine array. At the same time, it was hailed as the #1 divine array in the lower realm. It was personally set up by their Heavenly Palace's founder. Its terrifying power could kill any divine king. Shao Qing shook his head. Let's talk about this later. However, this thought started to take root in his mind. After Lu Yiping's group left the Massacre God Pavilion, they were about to return to the ghost town. On the way, they passed by a certain plain and heard someone talking about the appearance of the immemorial Heavenly Court's treasure. The appearance of the immemorial Heavenly Court's treasure. Lu Yiping asked the other party, little brother, how did you know about this? Taurus Longjiao threw a heaven-grade origin stone worth 1 billion to the other party. The other party received the heaven-grade origin stone and was stunned for a moment. Then, he told Lu Yiping everything he knew. After a while, the other party left. The Sun-Moon-Star Plane. Lu Yiping looked at the other party's figure and muttered. According to the expert just now, someone had discovered the immemorial Heavenly Court's palace in the Sun-Moon-Star Plane. It was suspected to be the immemorial Heavenly Court's main palace. The Sun-Moon-Star Plane was located in the depths of the Heavens Road. The deeper one went into the Heavens Path, the more difficult it was to traverse. This was because the deeper one went, the stronger the grand formations and restrictions became. Some grand formations and restrictions were set up by some old antiques that were hidden in the depths of the Heavens Path, while some grand formations and restrictions were born from the heavens and earth. Furthermore, the deeper the heaven road went, the colder the yin qi, the divine flame, the lightning, and the spatial storm would be. Even god kings with 5 or 6 wills would find it hard to reach the sun, moon, and stars plane. My lord, you and Lord Shao Jin can enter the Sun-Moon-Star Plane. Su Teng and I will wait for you in the City of Death, Che Ziping said. It would be inconvenient for Lu Yiping to bring the 2 of them into the Sun-Moon-Star Plane. Lu Yiping pondered for a bit and said, very well, wait for me at the City of Death. Once the heavens will comes out, I'll bring all of you there to compete for the heavens will. Since there were still a few months before the birth of the heavenly will, Che Peng and Su Ting didn't have to follow him all the time. Che Peng and Su Ting acknowledged and saluted before returning to the City of Death. After Che Peng and Su Ting left, Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao continued to fly deeper into the heaven path. The deeper they flew into the heavens path, the fewer the planets and planes they passed by along the way. In the end, the number of uninhabited planets and planes increased. The conditions in the depths of the heaven path were extremely harsh. Even god kings didn't dare to cultivate in these planets and planes. Of course, there were exceptions. Some planets and planes had some auras, and these auras weren't weak. Most of them belonged to god kings with 7 wills and above. Lu Yiping and Su Ting even found an old antique with 12 wills. His aura wasn't any weaker than the Lord of Myriad Swords. However, Lu Yiping and Su Ting didn't pay any attention to him. They continued to fly without stopping, heading straight for the Sun-Moon-Star Plane. Just as the 2 of them were heading towards the Sun-Moon-Star Plane, the heavens path in front of them shook violently. Countless bolts of lightning fell from the void without warning, blocking their path. These bolts of lightning included the 5 elements lightning, purple gold lightning, myriad transformation lightning, and even traces of chaos lightning. It was common to see this kind of lightning rain on the heavens path. It would last for several hours or even several days. Therefore, the two of them didn't wait for the lightning rain to stop. They directly broke through the lightning and continued forward. After entering the lightning rain, Lu Yiping didn't put up any defenses, allowing these bolts of lightning to strike his body. After traveling for several thousand li, the two of them passed through the lightning rain zone and continued forward. Just like that, after passing through the lightning, spatial storms, and frigid ice, the two of them finally arrived at the Sun-Moon-Star Plain. The Sun-Moon-Star Plain was shrouded in a layer of black fog, preventing others from seeing the situation inside. Within the black fog, there were faint glimmers of light, as if the sun, moon, and stars were floating within. The two of them broke through the black fog and entered the Sun-Moon-Star Plain. Inside the Sun-Moon-Star Plain, there was no sunlight. There was a kind of light similar to starlight and moonlight. The surrounding scenery looked somewhat dreamy. But the strange thing was, there was no moon or stars in the sky. No one knew where these lights came from. The two of them flew forward. Since they didn't know the exact location of the Archean Heavenly Court's palace, they could only use their divine sense to search. Just as Lu Yiping and Huang Xiaolong were searching for the Archean Heavenly Court's palace, the news of the Archean Heavenly Court's treasures appearing in the Sun-Moon-Star Plain spread. Various forces rushed over. Inside the plain, they would occasionally encounter some fierce beasts. These fierce beasts were generally several hundred zhang tall, and some were even several thousand zhang tall. The dragon horn gold directly sent them flying. Half a day later, just as the two of them were searching, the foundation tree in Lu Yiping's body suddenly shook violently. Lu Yiping was stunned, then he was overjoyed. There were foundation tree blocks in the Sun-Moon-Star Plain. And judging from the violent shaking, there should be a lot of them. Immediately, Lu Yiping flew in the direction he sensed. In the end, he and Taurus Longjiao arrived in front of a sea area. The water in this sea area was like the starry sky, dark blue in color. The two of them parted the water surface and entered the seabed. Not long after, they saw a large group of palaces under the sea. However, some of these palaces were already in a state of collapse, and some were missing a few corners. They must have been bombarded by a supreme force. Arriving in front of the palaces, Taurus Longjiao stared at the palaces. These are the Archean Heavenly Court's palaces. These palaces were made of rare materials from the Archean era, and the runes on them were extremely similar to the runes on the heavenly steel. Lu Yiping nodded. These palaces were the Archean Heavenly Court's palaces, but it was hard to say if they were the main palace. The Archean Heavenly Court ruled over thousands of worlds. The palaces stretched for billions of miles, as long as a galaxy. These palaces that occupied tens of thousands of miles were only a small corner of the Archean Heavenly Court's palaces. The two of them flew into the palaces. The foundation tree blocks were in the depths of these palaces. Although these palaces had been bombarded by a supreme force, some of the palaces' grand arrays and restrictions still had power, and they were not weak. Of course, the power of these grand arrays was useless against Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. The two of them arrived at the depths of the palaces without any obstructions. Chapter 330. When Lu Yiping arrived at the deepest part of the immemorial heavenly court, the tree's reaction became even more intense. It trembled violently, as if it was about to break out of its body. Lu Yiping blasted open the palace's restrictions and landed in front of the deepest palace with Taurus Longjiao. This palace was the largest palace in this complex of palaces. It was tens of thousands of feet tall and spanned several thousand miles. Looking at the palace in front of him that was tens of thousands of feet tall and surrounded by shocking lightning, Taurus Longjiao was bewildered. Could this be the primordial lightning god's cultivation palace? The lightning god of the immemorial heavenly court was an extremely powerful general of the immemorial heavenly court. It shouldn't be. Lu Yiping shook his head. In the past few years, he had comprehended the heavenly steel and had gained some understanding of the immemorial heavenly court. The palace in front of him shouldn't be the lightning god's cultivation palace, but the treasury of the lightning division. The immemorial heavenly court was divided into 108 divisions. The lightning division had hundreds of lightning generals and trillions of lightning soldiers. Among the 108 divisions of the immemorial heavenly court, the lightning division's combat strength could be ranked in the top 3. Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao arrived in front of the palace gates. The palace gates were extremely tall, at least 10,000 feet tall. Standing in front of the gates, they looked extremely small. Taurus Longjiao looked at the grand formation above the gates and exclaimed, "Amazing, this is the Purple Firmament Thunderbolt Grand Formation." The Purple Firmament Thunderbolt Grand Formation was one of the strongest killing formations of the immemorial era. Its power was much stronger than the 10 great ancient divine formations. The 10 great ancient divine arrays were far inferior to the Purple Firmament Thunder All-Extinguishing Array, the strongest killing array of the primordial era. Lu Yiping grunted in acknowledgement. Looking at the Purple Firmament Thunderbolt Grand Formation above the gates, he said, "The technique is almost perfect. It should have been set up by the Lightning Division's paramount gods." He continued, "But it's a pity that this complex of palaces was struck down by someone's supreme power." When the Purple Firmament Thunderbolt Grand Formation blocked the enemy's attack, it was also destroyed, losing 99% of its power. Therefore, the Purple Firmament Thunderbolt Grand Formation's power was only 1/10 of what it used to be. Of course, even if it was only 0.1%, it was still extremely terrifying. Overgods were terrifyingly powerful, and the Violet Firmament Thunder Apocalypse Formation was more than capable of easily annihilating the entire Sun-Moon star plane. Lu Yiping raised his hand. Lightning flickered and struck the door in front of him. Immediately, the 10,000 extinguishing thunderbolts on the door rumbled. The power of the 10,000 annihilation lightning was vast and boundless, like a boundless sea of lightning. However, under the suppression of Lu Yiping's palm, it was unable to pour out. This continued for a while before Lu Yiping slammed his palm down. Finally, the lightning power of the door dissipated. The Purple Firmament Thunderbolt Grand Array stopped. Lu Yiping pushed with his palm and the door to the treasury was pushed open. When the door to the treasury was pushed open, all that could be seen was the flash of lightning. All kinds of lightning flashed, filling the entire space of the treasury. In front of him were all kinds of thunder attribute materials and treasures. There were also all kinds of thunder attribute herbs. Seeing these thunder attribute herbs, the Taurus Longjiao swallowed hard. His granny, these were thunder attribute herbs cultivated by the primeval heavenly court. Each one was a rare treasure. If an ordinary mortal martial artist were to sniff these herbs, their medicinal energy would rise to an astonishing level. Even the tree ginseng and Taoist divine pill in the Master of Myriad Gods abode paled in comparison to these thunder attribute herbs. They weren't even on the same level. Lu Yiping waved his hand, and a thunder attribute spiritual herb fell into his palm. This thunder attribute spiritual herb was completely golden in color, and it flickered with golden lightning. As for the flower, it was very strange, it was shaped like a palm. This thunder attribute herb was the golden palm thunder flower that had disappeared since the primeval era. Lu Yiping plucked the flower and placed it in his mouth. It melted as soon as it entered his mouth, filling his mouth with a fragrant aroma. Golden lightning flickered all over his body, and from a distance, he looked like a god of lightning. With these herbs from the primeval heavenly court, his cultivation speed of the immortal sky would be much faster. The Taurus Longjiao also took a thunder attribute herb and chewed it like a cow chewing grass. It tasted pretty good. Lu Yiping continued forward. After passing through countless thunder attribute herbs and materials, he arrived at the deepest part of the treasury. There were countless tree chunks floating in the air. They were all kinds of divine tree chunks. Besides the foundation tree, there were other tree chunks. Lu Yiping even saw a few Sun Fusang tree chunks. Previously, he had found the Sun Fusang tree chunks in the Hengyuan Plains Divine Earth Lightning Volcano. They had already matured, but in the past few years, their growth had been slow. If he merged with these Sun Fusang tree chunks, his growth would be astonishing. The Sun Fusang tree was a natural spiritual root, and like the foundation tree, it was one of the 4 great divine trees. It would be of great use in the future. However, other than the foundation tree chunks and the Sun Fusang tree chunks, the other tree chunks were ordinary. Lu Yiping summoned the foundation tree. As soon as the 70,000-meter-tall foundation tree appeared, chaos chi spread out like waves, and the light of the great Tao shone brightly. As soon as the tree of creation appeared, all the tree of creation pieces in the treasury took the initiative to fly toward the tree of creation and attach themselves to its incomparably thick trunk. Then, the tree of creation pieces glowed at the same time and fused into the tree of creation bit by bit. As these foundation tree chunks merged with the foundation tree's radiance became even more resplendent, and its vitality surged. The black and yellow light in the chaos chi gradually increased. 78,000 meters, 79,000 meters, the foundation tree quickly grew to 80,000 meters. When the foundation tree grew to 80,000 meters, its luxuriant leaves glowed brightly, and the 9th level of the immortal skywood art finally appeared. Lu Yiping sat cross-legged under the foundation tree and began to comprehend the 9th level of the immortal skywood art. While Lu Yiping was comprehending the 9th level of the immortal skywood art, groups of experts arrived in front of the palace complex. These are primordial materials, and looking at these patterns, it's the unique refining method of the immemorial heavenly court. These palaces must have been built by the immemorial heavenly court. The heavenly palace master Shao Qing looked at the palaces in front of him and exclaimed, "I can sense boundless treasure chi in the depths of these palaces." One of the heavenly palace's ancestors laughed. Shao Qing took out a palm-sized divine artifact that resembled the 8 trigrams and infused it with his heavenly mandate divine force. In an instant, the 8 trigrams divine artifact's radiance surged. Under the 8 trigrams divine artifact's radiance, Shao Qing could sense the fluctuations of the array formations in the surroundings. "Everyone, follow me inside," Shao Qing said to the group of Heavenly Palace's experts. He took the lead and entered the palace complex, flying towards the depths of the palace complex. The group of Heavenly Palace's experts quickly followed. Not long after the group of Heavenly Palace's experts entered the palace complex, an old man clad in black battle robes appeared. This old man was a 12 heavenly mandate god king, but his aura was much stronger than the sovereign of 10,000 swords. After the old man arrived, he also flew towards the depths of the palace complex. Chapter 331. In the treasury deep within the palace complex, Lu Yiping sat cross-legged under the tree of creation. While fusing with the tree of creation, he was comprehending the 9th level of the immortal skywood technique. After a few days, Lu Yiping had completely comprehended the 9th level of the immortal skywood technique. The tree of creation had also fused with all the tree of creation in the treasury. It had grown to more than 90,000 meters, almost reaching 100,000 meters. The chaotic chi around the tree of creation was surging endlessly like the sea. There were more and more black and yellow lights in the chaotic chi. This was a sign that the chi of heaven and earth was about to be produced. Once the tree of creation grew to 100,000 meters, the chi of heaven and earth would truly be produced. He kept the tree of creation. At this time, the Sun Fusang tree had also fused with all the Fusang tree pieces in the treasury. Its growth was astonishing. It was already more than 1,000 meters tall. Around the Fusang tree, a faint golden flame spread. At the same time, a kind of gas similar to the chaotic chi was surging around the Fusang tree. This was the chi of the sun. A kind of innate spiritual chi that was comparable to the chaotic chi. Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao stood under the Fusang tree. They felt very warm. Taurus Longjiao smiled. "In the future, when we go to a world of ice and snow, it's most suitable for us to summon the Fusang tree for warmth." Taking out one of the innate spiritual roots, the Fusang tree of the 4 great sacred trees for warmth. Only Taurus Longjiao could come up with such an idea. Lu Yiping smiled. "That's a good idea. However, when we roast meat and drink wine in the future, we can also roast meat and eat it." Taurus Longjiao smiled. Roasting meat with the sun fire of the Fusang tree should be more fragrant, tender, and delicious. Both of them laughed. After keeping the Sun Fusang tree, Lu Yiping took out Mount Buzhou. Looking at the rainbow gourd root on Mount Buzhou, he said, "We have to find a way to find the spring of life. If this goes on, the spring of life will be used up soon." In the past few years, he had been persistently watering the rainbow gourd root. The spring of life was almost used up. However, he also knew that it would be difficult to find the spring of life in the lower realm. Thus, he would have to ascend to the upper realm. Lu Yiping put away Mount Buzhou and the seven-colored gourd root. Then, he started collecting the treasures in the treasury with Taurus Longjiao. Lu Yiping stored all the spiritual herbs, divine pellets, and spiritual veins into the purple gold gourd, nourishing them with the purple gold chaos qi. As for the refined iron, ores, and other materials, they were all stored in the cauldron of heaven and earth. There were many secret manuals and books in the treasury, many of which were records of the immemorial celestial court and the events of the immemorial era. Thus, Lu Yiping also took them all. If he flipped through them later, he might be able to find the ruins of the immemorial celestial court's main palace. It was even possible to find Jian Shu's main body back then. After collecting everything in the treasury, Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao left the palace. After exiting the palace, Lu Yiping lifted the palace with one hand and took it with him. The palace was made of excellent materials. He could refine it again and integrate it into his everlasting star palace. Moreover, he could repair the purple firmament thunderbolt all-extinguishing formation in the palace. By then, the power of his everlasting star palace would increase significantly. After taking the palace, Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao did not leave immediately. Instead, they continued to stroll around to see if they could find anything useful. Although this group of palaces was not the main palace of the immemorial celestial court, the purple firmament thunderbolt all-extinguishing formation, which was set up by the Thunder Tribe's supreme gods, was still destroyed. This showed how strong the enemy was. I wonder if the destruction of the immemorial celestial court had anything to do with the Dark Bora race. Taurus Longjiao suddenly said. Lu Yiping's eyes were deep as he said, perhaps. Even if the Dark Bora race did not have such strength back then, it should have something to do with them. After the destruction of the immemorial celestial court, the Dark Bora race rose rapidly. Lu Yiping guessed that the Dark Bora race must have obtained some of the treasures of the immemorial celestial court. As Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao strolled around, they encountered many experts from other forces fighting over the items in the palaces. These experts were either from Heaven's Path, Eternal Star Field, Silver-Winged Star Field, or other star fields. Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao ignored these fights. However, when Lu Yiping passed by one of the palaces, Lu Yiping saw two parties fighting and stopped. Green Devil Race. Taurus Longjiao was surprised when he saw one side fighting. On one side was a skinny old man. He was a Green Devil Race expert, a god king with 10 heavenly wills. The Green Devil Race was one of the strongest devil races in the ancient times. During the Myriad Gods era, the Green Devil Race's strength was only second to the Eternal Night Race and Purple Extreme Devil Race. On the other side were two female disciples from the Heavenly Palace. Both sides were clearly fighting over the items in the palaces. The two female disciples were not weak either. One of them was a god king with 10 heavenly wills, while the other was a god king with 9 heavenly wills. However, even with the two of them working together, they were still suppressed by the skinny old man. The Green Devil Race's old man snickered. Every time he attacked, he would release monstrous devil chi that contained a shocking green energy. This was the Green Devil poison in the Green Devil Race's bloodline. Lu Yiping's group didn't conceal their auras when they arrived. Therefore, all three of them noticed Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. "We are disciples of the Heavenly Palace. Young masters, please help us. The Heavenly Palace will be eternally grateful." The female disciple with 10 heavenly wills shouted. "Help us." The Green Devil Race's old man smiled indifferent. Suddenly, he leaped up and arrived in front of Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao in the blink of an eye. He sent a palm towards Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. It was clear that he wanted to silence Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. Taurus Longjiao casually waved his hand and sent the Green Devil Race's old man flying. The Green Devil Race's old man was sent flying. After crashing through several palaces, he rolled to the edge of a plaza. Then, his body began to crack and burst apart, turning into minced meat. The two women from the heavenly palace were stunned. Killing a godly king with 10 heavenly wills with a wave of his hand? This golden retriever was a godly king with 12 heavenly wills. Only a godly king with 12 heavenly wills could have such strength. Even a godly king with 11 heavenly wills wouldn't have such strength. It took a long time for the two women to react. After some hesitation, they approached Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao and bowed, "Many thanks for saving us, sirs." Lu Yiping had the two women rise. At this time, the sound of whistling wind could be heard as a large group of experts flew over. It was the Heavenly Palace Master Shaoqing and a group of ancestors. When Shaoqing and the Heavenly Palace's ancestors saw the scene, Shaoqing asked the two women, "Shireen, what happened?" The godly king with 10 heavenly wills woman briefly explained the situation. Shaoqing and the others were shocked when they heard that Taurus Longjiao had killed the Green Devil Race's godly king with 10 heavenly wills with a wave of his hand. Shaoqing approached Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. After thanking them, he cupped his fists and asked, "How should I address you, sirs?" Chapter 332. Lu Yiping. Lu Yiping said. Lu Yiping. Shaoqing and the Heavenly Palace experts were shocked. This blue-robed young man in front of them was Lu Yiping. Then this golden retriever next to him was the expert who killed the master of 10,000 swords. So it's Lord Lu. Shaoqing hurriedly said respectfully, then looked at Taurus Longjiao, "I presume this is the lord with 26 totems who killed the master of 10,000 swords?" Taurus Longjiao looked at the respectful Shaoqing and said, "You're the current palace lord of the Heavenly Palace?" Shaoqing hurriedly said yes, then warmly chatted with Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. After a while, he invited Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao to the Heavenly Palace as guests, saying that Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao had saved Shireen and Lu Yiping. He wanted to be a good host and thank Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. Lu Yiping pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, "Then the two of us will stay in the Heavenly Palace for 2 days." When the Heavenly Palace was founded, he stayed in the Heavenly Palace for a few days. After that, he didn't enter the Heavenly Palace again because he wanted to see how the Heavenly Palace had changed. Shaoqing was secretly happy when he saw Lu Yiping agree. He smiled and said, "Not at all, not at all. 2 lords can stay as long as you want." Then, he and the Heavenly Palace experts invited Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao to the Heavenly Palace. After leaving the palace complex, they didn't stay any longer. They left the Sun-Moon-Star Plain and flew towards the Heavenly Palace. The Heavenly Palace wasn't far from the Sun-Moon-Star Plain. A few days later, they arrived at the Heavenly Palace. "Lord Lu, the Heavenly Palace is in front of us." Shaoqing pointed at a huge plain in front of them. "I know," Lu Yiping said. Shaoqing was stunned, then asked with a smile, "Lord Lu, have you been to my Heavenly Palace before?" Lu Yiping looked at the plain in front of him and said emotionally, "I've been here before." Shaoqing and the experts of the Heavenly Palace were surprised. "When did Lord Lu come to my Heavenly Palace?" Shaoqing was puzzled and couldn't help but ask with a smile. He had been the palace lord of the Heavenly Palace for more than 200,000 years, but he didn't remember Lu Yiping coming to the Heavenly Palace. "Many years ago," Lu Yiping said. "Many years ago? Could it be 300,000 years ago?" Shaoqing thought to himself. He maintained his composure and smiled as he invited Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao into the Heavenly Palace. Afterwards, Shaoqing personally arranged a palace for Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao to stay in. He also said that there would be a banquet tonight to thank Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. Then, he asked Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao what they thought. Lu Yiping did not refuse. Shaoqing was delighted and said with a smile, "Then I'll come over tonight to invite both of you." Then, he bowed and left. Taurus Longjiao looked at Xiao Qing, who was leaving, and said, "This person is hypocritical. He invited us to the heavenly palace with such great hospitality. I'm afraid he doesn't have good intentions. Maybe the banquet tonight won't be a good one." Lu Yiping's face was calm. Let's see what kind of banquet he's going to host tonight. After Xiao Qing left, he did not return to the main palace. Instead, he entered the ancestral land and went all the way to the deepest part of the ancestral land. He stood in front of a palace. "Lord Ancestor," Xiao Qing called out carefully. "What's the matter?" A voice came from the palace. The voice was as calm as a dry well. Xiao Qing first reported that Taurus Longjiao killed the master of 10,000 swords with 26 totems. Oh, 26 totem ancient gods killed the master of 10,000 swords. In the palace, the Lord Ancestor was obviously shocked. "Yes, Lord Ancestor," Xiao Qing said. According to the experts present, Lu Yiping's subordinates have 2 bloodlines. Each bloodline can condense 13 totems. The 2 bloodlines add up to 26 totems. Xiao Qing has been thinking these days that if we can obtain the method to condense more than 20 totems from 2 bloodlines, the strength of the heavenly palace will skyrocket. We will be truly invincible in the lower realms. In the palace, the Lord Ancestor was silent for a while. After a while, Xiao Qing told him about his encounter with Lu Yiping in the Sun-Moon Star Plain and how Lu Yiping had invited them to the heavenly palace. "Oh, Lu Yiping and Lu Yiping are now in the heavenly palace?" the Lord Ancestor asked. "Yes, Lord Ancestor. I'm thinking that although Lu Yiping and Lu Yiping's strength is amazing, we can use the sky matrix to suppress and capture them." Xiao Qing said, "With Lord Ancestor's strength, coupled with our hundreds of ancestors and trillions of disciples, we can definitely suppress Lu Yiping and Lu Yiping." Sky Matrix. The Lord Ancestor said, "How do we lure them into the Sky Matrix?" Clearly, the Lord Ancestor was also tempted. Xiao Qing smiled, "I'm holding a banquet tonight and invited Lu Yiping and Lu Yiping. They have already agreed to attend." "Oh!" The Lord Ancestor raised his voice. At this time, a light flashed and an extraordinarily handsome young man came out of the palace and appeared in front of Xiao Qing. "Lord Ancestor." Xiao Qing hurriedly greeted the young man. The young man asked, "You mean to say that the banquet will be held inside the Sky Matrix?" "That's what I mean." Xiao Qing answered. The young man called Lord Ancestor's eyes flickered as he considered Xiao Qing's suggestion. "Lord Ancestor, the power of our heavenly palace's Sky Matrix is said to be able to kill all God Kings." Xiao Qing continued, "With your strength, heavenly Ancestor, and our heavenly palace's patriarchs and billions of disciples, no matter how strong Lu Yiping and his subordinates are, they won't be able to escape from the heavenly formation. Moreover, we can ask Lord Heavenly Beast for help." The heavenly palace had a guardian divine beast. It was the mount of the founder of the heavenly palace. Everyone thought that the heavenly beast had followed the founder of the heavenly palace into the upper worlds, but that was not the case. The heavenly beast had always been cultivating in a secret space in the heavenly palace. No one knew how strong the heavenly beast was. However, it was definitely terrifying. The Lord Heavenly Beast cultivates a secret art that allows it to enter a state where it isn't empty and doesn't leave Heavenly Lake. As long as Heavenly Palace isn't in danger, there's no need to disturb it. He then released his aura and 13 Heaven's Wills flew out. Each of them was level 13. Level 13 Heaven's Wills were the strongest below the Chaos Wills. As long as the Chaos Wills didn't appear, they were invincible. The Lord Ancestor had 13 level 13 Heaven's Wills. It wasn't Xiao Qing's first time seeing the Lord Ancestor's Heaven's Wills, but he couldn't hide his shock. "With me and the Sky Matrix, it's enough to suppress Lu Yiping and his companion," the Lord Ancestor said. "Yes, Lord Ancestor. I'll go prepare now," Xiao Qing said. "Yes, go." The Heavenly Ancestor said, "Don't let Lu Yiping and his companion get suspicious." "Don't worry, Lord Ancestor. I understand. Shao Qing bowed and left. Everything was normal in Heavenly Palace. The experts were busy preparing for the banquet. Night gradually fell. Shao Qing came to Lu Yiping and his companion's palace and personally welcomed Lu Yiping and his companion. Lu Yiping and Yixuan followed the other party to a palace. This is the palace for the banquet? Taurus Longjiao asked casually. Chapter 333. Yes. Shao Qing smiled. This palace is called the Qianyun Palace. It is our heavenly palace's most important and ancient palace. We only host a banquet here to welcome the heavenly palace's most important and distinguished guests. Normally, this Qianyun Palace is closed. Lu Yiping looked at the Qianyun Palace in front of him and asked indifferently, is that so? The Qianyun Palace was built when the heavenly palace was founded. At the same time, it was also the core of the heavenly formation. At this time, the group of ancestors waiting at the Qianyun Palace's entrance came over and saluted Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao, inviting Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao into the palace. Shao Qing walked to the palace's entrance and pushed the doors open. He smiled and said, "Two lords, I've already prepared a banquet. Please." Lu Yiping's expression was calm as he walked into the Qianyun Palace's main hall with Taurus Longjiao. The Qianyun Palace's main hall was very big. Taurus Longjiao's eyes swept over the main hall as he commented, "This Qianyun Palace is quite grand, even bigger than the Massacre God Pavilion's towering sky peak." Shao Qing smiled. "This Qianyun Palace was built when our heavenly palace was founded." Taurus Longjiao nodded, "No wonder." After entering the main hall, Shao Qing invited Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao to a seat of honor. Lu Yiping did not stand on ceremony and followed Taurus Longjiao to the seat of honor that Shao Qing mentioned and sat down. Shao Qing's smile became even more radiant seeing this. He and the group of ancestors went to their seats and sat down. Shao Qing looked at Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao and said, "Lord Shao Jin killed the Lord of 10,000 Swords 12 heavenly mandate god kings with a single strike from 26 totems, shocking the world. Who doesn't know of Lord Shao Jin's fame?" Then he raised his cup. "Come, I toast to Lord Lu and Lord Shao Jin." He added, "This wine is the best wine in our heavenly palace. It's called the Undrunk Immortal." Lu Yiping picked up the wine cup and said, "The wine is good, but it's a pity that it's still a little lacking." Then he drank it all in one gulp. Shao Qing was startled. Was he missing something? He drained his glass. Subsequently, Shao Qing and the Heavenly Palace's ancestors raised their cups and toasted Lu Yiping and Huang Xiaolong. After 3 rounds of wine, Shao Qing smiled and said, "Lord Shao Jin has 26 totems. Now, the outside world is guessing about Lord Lu Yiping's totems. Some say that Lord Lu Yiping might have 27 totems, or even 28 totems." Seeing that Shao Qing was testing him, Lu Yiping shook his head and said, "I am not the 27th totem, nor am I the 28th totem." Shao Qing smiled and said, "Some speculate that Lord Shao Jin has 2 major bloodlines, each of which can condense 13 totems. The 2 bloodlines add up to 26 totems. I'm curious as to how Lord Shao Jin learned of such a secret technique." Taurus Longjiao smiled. "You want to know?" Shao Qing smiled. With such a secret technique, who wouldn't be tempted by it if they could condense more than 20 totems? If Lord Shao Jin is willing to tell us, our heavenly palace will be eternally grateful and take out precious treasures to thank the 2 of you. At this point, Shao Qing didn't hide it anymore. Just now, the heavenly formation's power had completely locked onto Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. Taurus Longjiao looked at Shao Qing and the heavenly palace's ancestors and smiled. "What if I refuse to tell you?" Shao Qing shook his head. "Refuse to tell?" Then his face suddenly turned cold. "Then I can only offend you." He and the heavenly palace's ancestors all burst out with light. Every corner of the heavenly palace's main hall vibrated with light. Rays of light fell from the sky, enveloping the heavenly palace and the surrounding mountain peaks. Shocking power filled the air. The heavenly ancestor and Shao Qing were still worried even after the formation's power struck them 40 to 50 times. They continued to use the formation's power. This went on for a long time. The Heavenly Palaces group only stopped after the formation's power had struck them nearly 100 times. Lord Heavenly Ancestor, what if Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao are killed by our continuous attacks? Shao Qing asked worriedly. Their ultimate goal was to obtain the secret art to condense more than 20 totems. If Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao died, their efforts would be in vain. The Heavenly Ancestor said, "Don't worry. If Lu Yiping's subordinates can kill the Master of 10,000 Swords so easily, they won't die so easily." The heavenly formation's light gradually dissipated, revealing Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. Chapter 334. Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao were still sitting there, sipping their wine. Their blue robes were still spotless, and their golden retriever was still shiny. The heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the rest of the heavenly palace's ancestors were shocked, and their faces were filled with disbelief. Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao were completely fine under the combined efforts of the heavenly palace's ancestors. Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao stood up at this time. "How can you be fine?" Shao Qing stuttered. "How can we be fine?" Lu Yiping smiled faintly, "Because this heavenly formation was set up by me." "What? You set up the heavenly formation casually?" Shao Qing and the rest of the heavenly palace's ancestors were stunned. The heavenly ancestor seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. "What a joke, you set up the heavenly formation casually. Why don't you say that you're the founder of our heavenly palace? Who doesn't know that this heavenly formation was created by our heavenly palace's founder?" The heavenly ancestor's voice was cold. "I don't believe that you can withstand the heavenly formation's strongest killing formation, the power of the 99 layers heaven." Just now, the heavenly formation's strongest killing formation was not activated. The heavenly ancestor was afraid of killing Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao, so he did not activate the heavenly formation's last layer, which was also its strongest killing formation. The heavenly formation's strongest killing formation was called the 99 layers heaven. Once activated, half of the heavenly palace's ancestral root's power would be sucked away, and it would take tens of thousands of years to recover. This was also the reason why he did not activate the heavenly formation's strongest killing formation earlier. "All ancestors, heed my command, activate the 99 layers heaven." The heavenly ancestor's cold voice resounded through the world. Shao Qing was stunned. "Lord Heavenly Ancestor, this. Heed my command. Activate the 99 layers heaven." The heavenly ancestor shouted again. Shao Qing did not dare to say anything else, and he and the rest of the heavenly palace's experts once again activated all of their heavenly fate's power. With a wave of their hands, countless runes flew out and merged into the void. Above the void light vibrated, a huge hole appeared. Dazzling light continuously from within the hole. A terrifying power gushed out from the depths of the void, as if it came from the 99 levels of heaven. Such a force no longer belonged to the lower realms. It was above all the forces in the lower realms. When the seal of the 99 heavens was activated, power surged. All the experts in the Celestial Palace could sense that the power of the Celestial Palace's ancestral root was continuously gathering above the Chenyan Palace. Even Shao Qing and the patriarchs of the Heavenly Palace felt their souls tremble when they sensed the power of the 99-layered heavens formation. Even the heavenly ancestors with 13 level 13 heavens will trembled when facing such power. "Exalted Heavenly Ancestor," Shao Qing said, trembling with fear, "if Lu Yiping and the others are destroyed by the power of the 99-layered heavens, then what about the secret magic of forming more than 20 totems?" The Sky Ancestor was somewhat regretful. He knew that the Sky Array's strongest killing array, the 99-layered heavens, was very powerful, but he didn't expect it to be this powerful. The power of the 99-layered heavens was far beyond his understanding. With such power, it could probably blast through a plane in one blow. If Lu Yiping and the others died, they wouldn't be able to learn the secret magic of forming more than 20 totems. However, once the formation was activated, they wouldn't be able to stop it no matter how hard they tried. Therefore, they could only let the formation continue to operate. The Heavenly Palace's disciples were horrified when they sensed the terrifying power of the formation. The power of the 99-layered heavens formation, kill. The Heavenly Ancestor waved his hands and endless power roared from the hole in the void. This terrifying power from the upper realms arrived above Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao in an instant. Lu Yiping remained calm as he watched the power of the 99-layered heavens formation crashing down. Suddenly, light surged from Lu Yiping's body. Golden runes condensed into a golden bell. The golden bell expanded in an instant, bigger than a city, towering between heaven and earth. The surface of the golden bell was surrounded by the sun, moon, and stars, earth, water, fire, and wind. A five-colored light illuminated the world. The golden bell exuded a shocking amount of chaos chi. This chaos chi wasn't the chaos chi that existed between heaven and earth, nor was it the chaos chi of the Heavenly Ancestor. As the golden bell spun, the chaos chi roiled. Terrifying waves of energy swept out in all directions. The surrounding mountains were reduced to dust by the shockwaves. Boom! The 99-layered heavens formation's power slammed into the golden bell. An earth-shattering boom resounded, shaking the Heavenly Ancestor, Shaoqing, and the Heavenly Palace's ancestors. Their ears hurt. When the 99-layered heavens formation's power slammed into the golden bell, it caused waves of energy that shot out in all directions. Retreat! The Heavenly Ancestor was alarmed. He roared and was the first to flee. Shaoqing and the Heavenly Palace's ancestors fled in fear. Shocking waves flooded heaven and earth. Wherever the waves passed, everything was reduced to dust. Some of the Heavenly Palace's god kings with 7 and 8 wills were too slow. They were swept up by the waves and turned into blood mists. Even some god kings with 9 wills were swept up and turned into blood mists. When the waves finally stopped, the Heavenly Ancestor, Shaoqing, and the rest looked over. The mountains and palaces around the Qianyun Palace had all disappeared. Nearly half of the Heavenly Palace's 700 to 800 ancestors had died. The Heavenly Ancestor, Shaoqing, and the rest were still in a state of shock. Their backs were drenched in cold sweat. They looked over and saw the golden bell standing high in the sky, unmoved by the 99-layered heavens formation's power. Dust billowed around the golden bell. But Lu Yiping stood under the golden bell, his blue robe fluttering in the wind. There wasn't a speck of dust on his body. The Heavenly Ancestor and the rest were shocked speechless, looking at the golden bell in disbelief. What kind of cultivation technique was this? Condensing such a golden bell, taking the heavenly formation's strongest attack, it was completely fine. This was the primordial chaos bell chant. This chant was formed by comprehending the primordial chaos bell. The primordial chaos bell had the power to suppress the primordial chaos world, reversing the power of space and time in the myriad worlds. It was known as the #1 defensive treasure in the myriad worlds. This chant was formed by comprehending the primordial chaos bell. Its power was obvious. Lu Yiping looked at the Heavenly Ancestor, Shaoqing, and the rest of the Heavenly Palace's ancestors. He didn't move, but the golden bell above his head emitted a deafening chime. The sound of the bell reverberated, dimming the heavens and earth, shaking the universe. The Heavenly Ancestor, Shaoqing, and the others' heavenly wills shattered inch by inch. Even the Heavenly Ancestors' 13-level heavenly wills were shattered beyond recognition. Their souls seemed to have suffered a devastating blow, causing them to vomit blood. Right at this time, an aura stronger than the Heavenly Ancestors soared to the sky from a certain space in the Heavenly Palace. Then, a giant beast the size of a mountain peak walked out from the void. When the Heavenly Ancestor, Shaoqing, and the rest saw this giant beast, their despair was replaced by joy. Lord Heavenly Beast. Chapter 335. Lord Heavenly Beast, please save us. Seeing the heavenly beast's arrival, the heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the rest shouted with all their might. The heavenly beast turned to look at the heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the others. Seeing the heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the others' heavenly wills shattered and their souls scattered, the heavenly beast frowned. The heavenly beast had been sleeping in the heavenly palace's secret space, but when the bell rang and the heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the others were injured, the heavenly beast turned to look at the golden bell. "This is the chaos bell?" The heavenly beast was shocked. However, it wasn't sure. Then, it looked at the blue-robed figure standing below the golden bell. At first glance, the heavenly beast felt that the blue-robed figure was very familiar, but when it looked closer and saw the blue-robed figure's face, the heavenly beast shuddered violently. Its lake-sized eyes widened, and its long-dormant memories were awakened. "You are..." The heavenly beast trembled in excitement. The heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the others were surprised to see the heavenly beast coming over to Lu Yiping's side. "Lord Heavenly Beast, his name is Lu Yiping," Shao Qing explained. "Lu Yiping." When the heavenly beast heard Shao Qing say that the young man's name was Lu Yiping, it lost its balance and plummeted to the ground. Rumble. Its mountain-like body smashed the mountain peak below into pieces. Sand and dust billowed endlessly. The heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the heavenly palace's ancestors were dumbfounded. Their lord heavenly beast lost its balance when it heard the name Lu Yiping. Amidst the rolling dust, the heavenly beast ignored the sand on its body and crawled out, trembling as it looked at Lu Yiping. "Ancestor, you're the ancestor. Ancestor, you're finally here." The heavenly beast's lake-sized eyes turned red at the mention of the heavenly beast. The heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the heavenly palace's ancestors trembled as if they were struck by lightning, looking at the blue-robed figure in front of them with disbelief. "Ancestor! Did Lord Heavenly Beast just address Lu Yiping as Grandmaster?" Their Lord Heavenly Beast was Song Song's disciple in name. If it called Lu Yiping Grandmaster, wouldn't that mean that Lu Yiping was the master of their heavenly palace's Grandmaster? The hearts of the heavenly ancestors and the others shook violently. At this moment they suddenly recalled that Lu Yiping had said that he had casually set up this heaven array. So it was true. Could this sky array really have been casually set up by Lu Yiping? Taurus Longjiao, who was standing at the side, looked at the heavenly beast that looked like a chaotic divine mountain and said, "You are Shao Song's little mount from back then." Shao Song? The sky ancestor, Shao Qing, and the others trembled. Wasn't the founder of their celestial palace called Song Song? The heavenly beast looked at Taurus Longjiao and stuttered, "Lord Shao Jin." Taurus Longjiao looked at the heavenly beast in front of him and laughed, "It's really you, little guy. You were so skinny and malnourished in the past, but now you're so fat. It seems like you've been eating better than me all these years." When the heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the others heard Taurus Longjiao say that their Lord Heavenly Beast was fat, their stomachs twitched, and it affected their internal organs, causing them to grit their teeth in pain. When the heavenly beast heard Taurus Longjiao say that it was fat and ate better food than him, it couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Then, it excitedly walked over to Lu Yiping, squatted down, and raised its front paws in a kowtowing posture, kowtowing to Lu Yiping. "Little Tian kowtows to Grandmaster." The heavenly beast's eyes were still red. "Grandmaster, you're finally here." Master has been waiting for Grandmaster for hundreds of thousands of years. When Master didn't see Grandmaster coming, he ascended to the upper realm. When Song Song founded the Celestial Palace, Lu Yiping stayed for a few days. When he left, he said that he would come again when he was free, but Song Song had waited for hundreds of thousands of years. In the end, he could only ascend to the upper realm. Thus, Song Song had ascended to the upper realm more than 1,000,000 years ago. When the heavenly beast mentioned this matter, Lu Yiping sighed, "I was delayed by some matters in the past." Then, he had the heavenly beast stand up. As for what matters, Lu Yiping didn't say, and the heavenly beast didn't dare to ask. Lu Yiping dismissed the chaos bell tactics, and the chaos bell above his head dissipated. The heavenly beast turned to look at the heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the rest of the Celestial Palace's ancestors in the distance. His face sank as he shouted, "All of you, come here. Quickly kowtow to your ancestor." The heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the group of ancestors shuddered as they approached Lu Yiping. All of them knelt on the ground, kowtowing to Lu Yiping, crying and begging for mercy from Lu Yiping. The heavenly beast remained silent. Lu Yiping looked at the kneeling heavenly ancestor, Shao Qing, and the group of ancestors with a cold expression. He said to the heavenly ancestor and Shao Qing, "It was your idea to snatch the secret technique to condense more than 20 totems, wasn't it?" The heavenly ancestor and Shao Qing were terrified, kowtowing repeatedly. "Ancestor, please spare our lives. We didn't know your identity. If we did, we wouldn't have dared, absolutely wouldn't have dared. We only did this for the Celestial Palace." Shao Qing cried as he tried to defend himself. The heavenly ancestor also tried to defend himself. "For the Celestial Palace?" Taurus Longjiao sneered, "I think you're not only doing this for the Celestial Palace, but also for yourselves." A loud boom resounded. Shao Qing and the heavenly ancestor were slammed into the ground by Taurus Longjiao. Their divine armors shattered, leaving them on the verge of death. Just now, Taurus Longjiao's palm strike had shattered their divine veins. The other ancestors trembled, cold sweat dripping down their foreheads. Lu Yiping said to the heavenly beast, "Choose another heavenly palace lord. These two will be punished for betraying their master and ancestors." Betraying their master and ancestors. This kind of punishment was heavier than killing the heavenly ancestor and Shao Qing. The heavenly palace's ancestors curled up into a ball, not daring to breathe loudly or move. The heavenly beast respectfully complied to Lu Yiping's order. When the heavenly ancestor and Shao Qing heard Lu Yiping punish them for betraying their master and ancestors, they fainted on the spot. As for the others, Lu Yiping went on, "All of them will be punished by facing the wall in the ancestral land for 10,000 years. If there is no important matter, they are not allowed to leave the ancestral land for 10,000 years. Their 10,000 years of salary will be confiscated." The heavenly palace's ancestors were only obeying orders, they couldn't be killed. Hearing this, the heavenly palace's ancestors kowtowed and thanked Lu Yiping with tears of gratitude. After thanking Lu Yiping, the heavenly palace's ancestors returned to the ancestral land to face the wall for 10,000 years. Subsequently, the heavenly beast arranged a place for Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao to stay. Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao stayed in the heavenly palace. At the same time, Lu Yiping ordered the heavenly beast to send people to the ghost town to bring Che Shipong, Su Teng, Tang Bin, Tang Shuiyao, and the rest to the heavenly palace. The heavenly beast listened to Lu Yiping's order and was worried about the others, so he personally left the heavenly palace and headed to the ghost town. Ghost town, inside a tavern. These days, Tang Bin had been staying in the tavern every day. Bored to death, he would drag Tang Shuiyao out for a stroll. Tang Shuiyao was stubborn and could only accompany Tang Bin for a stroll. The two of them arrived at the trading market. "Big sis, it's the heavenly fate dragon bone." When they passed by a shop, Tang Bin's eyes lit up when he saw a set of dragon bones displayed inside. He walked in with Tang Shuiyao. Chapter 336. Heavenly Fate Dragon Bones were the bones of a Heavenly Fate God King Realm Dragon Clan expert. A Heavenly Fate God King Realm Dragon Clan expert's bones were very useful to Tang Bin, who had condensed the Dragon Clan's supreme godhead. Tang Bin stopped in front of the Heavenly Fate Dragon Bones and stared fixedly at them. The shop assistant smiled and said, "This little brother has good eyesight. This Heavenly Fate Dragon Bone is not an ordinary Heavenly Fate Dragon Bone, but the bones of a Heavenly Fate God King Realm Dragon Clan expert." Moreover, this Heavenly Fate Dragon Clan expert was a 9-clawed golden dragon when he was alive. Tang Bin was tempted by the shop assistant's words, and he looked at Tang Shuiyao with anticipation. "Sister, this Heavenly Fate Dragon Bone, how about we buy it?" Tang Shuiyao asked the shop assistant, "How much is this set of Heavenly Fate Dragon Bones?" The shop assistant smiled and said, "We don't sell this heavenly fate dragon bone for spirit stones, only star chaos water, 40,000 drops of star chaos water." 40,000 drops of star chaos water. Tang Xueyao and Tang Bin were shocked. 40,000 drops of star chaos water was an astronomical figure to the two of them. Although Lu Yiping had given them some star chaos water, it was not a lot. Can it be cheaper? Tang Bin asked, unwilling to give up. The shop assistant smiled and said, "Not much cheaper, at most 100 drops less." At this time, a young man and woman walked over. The woman smiled and said, "Where did this country bumpkin come from, daring to covet the heavenly fate dragon bone without money?" The man smiled and said, "When the heavenly fate dragon bone appeared, many families from smaller galaxies rushed to the heavens path. It's normal for there to be a lot of country bumpkins in the ghost city." Tang Bin's little face puffed up in anger. The woman's gaze fell on Tang Xueyao and said, "Your looks are not bad, but you're just a four-totem ancient god." A four-totem ancient god asking for the bones of a heavenly fate dragon clan expert, what a joke. Tang Xueyao's brows furrowed. So what if he's a four-totem ancient god? Tang Bin couldn't resist retorting, "Who said that ancient gods can't ask about the heavenly fate dragon bone? Is there a rule that says one can only ask if he has the money to buy something?" Then, he looked the woman up and down. "Could it be that you have 40,000 drops of stellar chaos water on you?" The woman was a divine king of heaven's mandate. Hearing this, she couldn't help but be startled. At the same time, she became angry out of humiliation. Although 40,000 drops of star chaos water wasn't a large number to her, it wasn't a small number either. She didn't bring so much star chaos water with her today. She looked at Tang Bin and said coldly, "A true divinity actually dares to offend me, truly a little thing that doesn't know life from death." Speaking up to here, she suddenly swung her sleeve at Tang Bin. The heavenly mandate divine power surged and instantly blasted toward Tang Bin. Tang Xueyao's expression changed drastically. However, at this moment, a person appeared in front of Tang Bin in a flash and blocked the woman's heavenly mandate divine energy with a palm strike. There was a loud explosion. The woman was forced to take a few steps back. When Tang Bin saw who it was, he was delighted. Lord Che. The newcomer was none other than Che Ziping. When Che Ziping heard that Tang Bin and Tang Xueyao had come out, he was worried that something might have happened to them, so he came out to check on them. The woman was pushed back by Che Peng. Just as she was about to get angry, she suddenly saw that it was Che Peng. Her pretty face changed. "It's you." Her companion also recognized Che Peng, and his face also changed. "You know who I am?" Che Peng asked. The woman nodded and came to Che Peng's side. She bowed slightly and said, "We are people from the Aeon Celestial Manor. We followed our manor lord to the Slaughter God Pavilion's hero assembly." Che Peng was enlightened. The woman said in fear and trepidation, "We didn't know that this little brother was your junior. We had eyes but failed to see. Please forgive us." Recalling the scene of Taurus Longjiao killing the sovereign of 10,000 swords with a single punch, she knelt down and kowtowed. The other men also bowed and apologized. Che Zipeng looked at the woman who was kowtowing and begging for mercy, and said coldly, "Forgive you? You're mistaken, he's not my junior." Then, he added, "He's Lord Lu and Lord Shao Jin's little brother." The woman trembled in fear at Huang Xiaolong's words, and blood drained from her face. This true divinity realm country bumpkin was Lord Lu and Lord Shao Jin's little brother. A short while later, Che Zipeng, Tang Bin, and Tang Xueyao left the shop and returned to the inn. Just as they arrived at the inn's waiter rushed in, saying that there was a Heavenly Palace's expert looking for them. A Heavenly Palace's expert. Che Peng, Su Teng, and the rest were shocked. The Heavenly Palace, Slaughter God Pavilion, and Shenyuan sect were the three biggest forces in the Heaven's Path, and many people felt that the Heavenly Palace was the leader of the three. Legend had it that the Heavenly Palace had an invincible old antique from 2 million years ago. Let's go out and take a look. Che Ziping said and walked out of the inn with Su Teng and the rest. When they came out, they saw a 4 to 5 meter tall muscular man standing outside the inn. The muscular man exuded a heart-palpitating aura. Che Ziping's heart tightened, and he cupped his fists. May I know why this lord is looking for us? The muscular man was none other than Heavenly Beast. Heavenly Beast looked at Che Peng and smiled. You're Che Peng, right? The ancestor sent me to bring you to the Heavenly Palace. Ancestor? Che Peng, Su Teng, and the rest were puzzled. The Heavenly Beast threw a token to Che Peng. Che Peng looked at it and saw that it was Lu Yiping's token. He was shocked as he looked at the muscular man in front of him. Lord Lu is your ancestor. Since when did Lu Yiping become this Heavenly Palace's expert's ancestor? He didn't seem to have heard anyone mention this in the ancient times. The Heavenly Beast nodded and smiled. The ancestor and Lord Xiao Jin are currently in the Heavenly Palace. He sent me to bring you to the Heavenly Palace, saying that the ghost town isn't safe. Che Peng didn't doubt the Heavenly Beast's words. He, Su Teng, Tang Bin, and the rest packed their things and left the ghost town, following the Heavenly Beast to the Heavenly Palace. Everyone boarded the flying ship brought by the Heavenly Beast. On the flying ship, Che Peng asked the Heavenly Beast, "May I know how to address Lord?" The Heavenly Beast pondered for a moment and said, "The ancestor and Lord Xiao Jin call me Xiao Tian, you can call me Lord Xiao Tian." In the past few days in the ghost town, everyone had heard many legends and stories about the Heavenly Palace. They couldn't help but ask about the Heavenly Beast. The Heavenly Beast answered with a faint smile. Tang Bin asked, "Lord Xiao Tian, I've heard from many experts in the ghost town that your Heavenly Palace has a super terrifying existence from 2 million years ago, is that true?" Everyone looked at the Heavenly Beast. The Heavenly Beast smiled. "You can say that, but it was less than 2 million years ago, more than 1,900,000 years ago." Che Peng and Su Teng were shocked hearing that. The legends were true. The Heavenly Beast actually had such a terrifying existence. I didn't expect the legends to be true. Che Ziping sighed. Such an existence, he's probably invincible in the lower realm. Invincible in the lower realm? The Heavenly Beast shook his head, saying, compared to the ancestor, he's too weak. Chapter 337. Che Peng, Su Teng, and the rest were stunned. Su Teng stuttered, "Lord Lu is so strong. That existence in the Heavenly Palace is a terrifying existence that has lived for close to 2 million years. I've heard that his strength has long surpassed a god king with 13 heavenly wills." The Heavenly Beast chuckled, "A god king with 13 heavenly wills? To the ancestor, he's just an ant." A god king with 13 heavenly wills was an ant. Su Teng, Tang Qin, and the rest felt their hearts trembling. They knew that Lu Yiping was strong, but they didn't expect a god king with 13 heavenly wills to be an ant in front of Lu Yiping. Even Che Peng was inwardly shocked. In fact, even he wasn't clear about Lu Yiping's true strength. The Heavenly Beast said, "The Chaos Heavenly Wills will appear soon. At that time, you will see the ancestor's strength." Tang Bin asked curiously, "This lord, your position in the Heavenly Palace should be very high, right?" The Heavenly Beast glanced at Tang Bin, but did not speak. As the flying ship flew, the experts they met along the way retreated in fear when they saw the Heavenly Palace's flying ship. When the Heavenly Beast brought Che Peng, Su Teng, and the rest back to the Heavenly Palace, the Massacre God Pavilion and Qianyuan sect also received the news. "Oh, the Heavenly Palace's experts brought Che Peng, Su Teng, and the rest back to the Heavenly Palace?" The Massacre God Pavilion's Pavilion Master Huang Fushi was puzzled. The Qianyuan sect's sect master Yao Kai muttered, "Could it be that Lu Yiping has joined forces with the Heavenly Palace?" Huang Fushi asked one of the Massacre God Pavilion's subordinates, "Do you know which ancestor brought Che Peng, Su Teng, and the rest back to the Heavenly Palace?" The Massacre God Pavilion's subordinate shook his head, "Unfamiliar face, I've never seen him before. He's 4 to 5 meters tall and extremely muscular." Yao Kai frowned, If Lu Yiping has really joined forces with the Heavenly Palace, it's not good news. One Lu Yiping was hard enough to deal with. With the addition of the Heavenly Palace, the Massacre God Pavilion and Shenyuan sect's chances of obtaining the Chaos Heavenly Wills. Huang Fushi's eyes flickered. No matter what price we have to pay, we must obtain the Chaos Will. Brother Huangfu, what do you mean? Yao Kai asked. Blood Sea Holy Sect. Huang Fushi said slowly. Hearing this, Yao Kai was puzzled. Then, he thought of something and exclaimed, the Blood Sea Divine Sect from 2 million years ago? Huang Fushi nodded, that's right, it's the sect of the Blood Sea from 2 million years ago. I've already found the whereabouts of the sect of the Blood Sea and sent people to contact them. As long as we can cooperate with them, we won't need to fear Lu Yiping and the Heavenly Palace. Yao Kai said hesitantly, but the Blood Sea Divine Sect doesn't have a good reputation. Back then, the Blood Sea Divine Sect had created a sea of blood to cultivate their evil arts. They had slaughtered countless ancient gods and divine King Tianming. This had incurred the wrath of the masses. They had been surrounded by countless experts from various sections. In the end, they had fled elsewhere. Huang Fushi said in a low voice, the winner takes all. If we can obtain the primal chaos destiny, it doesn't matter if we work with the Blood Sea Divine Sect. The heavenly beasts piloted the flying ship and brought everyone deeper into the heavens road. The spaceship finally entered an incomparably huge plain. Tang Qing, Tang Bin, and the rest looked at the endless palaces in front of them, the countless patrolling heavenly palace experts, and the various divine beast mounts in the air. All of them were shocked beyond words. The entire plain is the Heavenly Palace's sect? Tang Qing stammered after a long time. The heavenly beasts nodded with a smile. Che Peng and Su Teng had seen the Massacre God Pavilion before, but now that they saw that the Heavenly Palace's sect was even bigger than the Massacre God Pavilion, they couldn't help feeling shocked. The heavenly beasts brought everyone to the center of the Heavenly Palace. Lord Little Heavenly Beasts, there are several thousand continents in this Heavenly Palace, right? Tang Bin asked. The heavenly beast smiled, to be exact, there are 39,643 continents. More than 39,000 continents. Everyone was flabbergasted. At this time, a group of patrolling Heavenly Palace disciples appeared in front of them. When this group of patrolling Heavenly Palace disciples saw the heavenly beasts group, they knelt down from afar. In the beginning, everyone didn't think much of it, but as they moved closer to the center of the Heavenly Palace, they saw the Heavenly Palace's elders, grand elders, hall masters, and city lords kneeling on the ground. In the end, when they saw the Heavenly Palace's deputy palace master, he also knelt down. Only then did everyone start to wonder about the heavenly beast's identity. Lord Little Heavenly Beasts, I heard that the Heavenly Palace has a heavenly ancestor, a god king with 13 wills. Are you that heavenly ancestor? Che Peng asked. The heavenly beasts shook his head, I'm not the heavenly ancestor. When Che Zipeng and the rest relaxed, the heavenly beasts added, I'm the expert you mentioned earlier who has lived for 2 million years. Everyone was dumbfounded. Then, they looked at the heavenly beasts in shock. Wait a minute, this person in front of them is the Heavenly Palace's expert who has lived for 2 million years. Then, who is the Heavenly Palace's ancestor, Lord Lu? The heavenly beasts brought everyone to a majestic palace in the center of the Heavenly Palace. He then knelt down and said, Ancestor, Che Peng and the rest have arrived. The palace's doors opened, and a blue-robed figure and a golden retriever walked out. They were none other than Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. Big Brother Lu, Big Brother Xiao Jin. Tang Bin rushed over when he saw Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. Taurus Longjiao smiled and carried Tang Bin in his arms. Everyone must be tired from the journey. Little heavenly beasts, arrange a place for everyone to stay. We'll hold a banquet tonight. Lu Yiping said to the heavenly beasts. The heavenly beasts complied respectfully. Subsequently, Che Peng, Su Teng, and the rest settled down in the heavenly palace. In the blink of an eye, several months passed. In these few months, Lu Yiping studied the fortune jade disc and heavenly steel during the day, and cultivated the longevity secret art and immortal sky wood technique at night. Every day, the purple gold gourd would absorb the chaos chi from the tree, turning it into purple gold chaos water. During this time, Lu Yiping would occasionally give pointers to the heavenly beast's cultivation. The heavenly beast's strength had improved significantly. Ancestor, we've received news that the Massacre God Pavilion has contacted the Blood Sea Divine Sect and has joined forces with them. The heavenly beasts said to Lu Yiping. Blood Sea Divine Sect, huh? Lu Yiping's eyes were deep as he said, I know. Another month passed in this manner. On this day, space suddenly shook without warning. It was a faint tremor. Not only the space where the heavenly palace was located, but the countless worlds and planets in the heaven's path were also shaking. All the experts in the heaven's path were alarmed. Everyone looked up and saw the sky above the heaven's path was filled with golden light. It's the heavenly mandate. The heavenly mandate is about to be born. This was a sign that the heavenly mandate was about to be born. Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao also exited the palace. At this time, the heavenly beasts, Che Peng, and Su Ting also appeared beside Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. Let's go! Lu Yiping immediately sent out a burst of energy, sweeping up Che Peng and Su Ting as they soared into the sky. Taurus Longjiao and the heavenly beasts followed closely behind. At the same time, countless heavenly mandate god kings and powerful ancient gods rushed out from all the worlds and planets in the heaven's path, rushing towards the location of the heavenly mandate. The heavenly mandate was about to be born, and all the ancient gods and heavenly mandate god kings could sense the location of the heavenly mandate's birth. Many of the Middle Ages and ancient eras old antiques hidden in the depths of the heaven's path also came out, rushing towards the location of the heavenly mandate's birth. Chapter 338. Lu Yiping led the group to a certain place in the heaven's path. Under the starry sky, shocking waves of energy swept out continuously. Rays of light surged as terrifying energy gathered. A terrifying pressure pressed down from above. Even Che Peng, who had 12 totems, felt suffocated. Needless to say, Su Teng, who had 10 totems, felt even more suffocated. The starry sky in front of them cracked open, and golden light poured down like a waterfall. Something seemed to be brewing in the cracked starry sky, as though something was about to come out. Following the arrival of Lu Yiping's group, various experts also arrived. The first to arrive were the Massacre God Pavilion and Qianyuan Sect's experts. However, the Blood Sea Divine Cult's experts were nowhere to be seen. When Huangfu Shi and Yao Kai saw Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao, they didn't greet them. However, when they saw the heavenly beasts beside Lu Yiping, they were puzzled. Was this the expert who had brought Che Peng, Su Teng, and the others to the heavenly palace? Following the arrival of the Massacre God Pavilion and Qianyuan Sect's experts, the Ionic Divine Manor and other experts also arrived. Beside the Ionic Divine Manor's Manor Lord, Sikong Nan, was a green-robed old man. The green-robed old man's aura was concealed, but even Huangfu Shi and Yao Kai, who had 11 heavenly wills god kings, felt apprehensive when they saw the green-robed old man. Huangfu Shi and Yao Kai frowned when they saw the green-robed old man. They were also trying to guess his identity. After the arrival of the Ionic Divine Manor and other experts, another large group of experts arrived. It was Qi Mingtian, Han Mo, He Yao, and other 11 heavenly wills god kings. However, the one leading the group wasn't Qi Mingtian, Han Mo, or He Yao. Instead, it was a bald man shrouded in golden light. He exuded a ferocious aura, and there was a large scar between his eyebrows. The great saber nefarious emperor. Seeing the bald man, the green-robed old man beside Sikong Nan spoke. Huangfu Shi was stunned. Then, he recalled an ancient name and his expression changed. The great saber nefarious emperor. Yao Kai, Sikong Nan, and other heavenly wills god kings of the older generation were shocked. The great blade evil emperor, this was a terrifying existence that resounded throughout heaven's road more than 1,000,000 years ago. The bald brawny broadsword evil emperor looked at the green-robed old man beside Sikong Nan and chuckled, "Old monster titan spirit." "What? Giant spirit old monster?" "He is the founder of the giant spirit devil sect, old monster giant spirit." The giant spirit devil sect was a super sect from more than 1,000,000 years ago. Back then, the giant spirit devil sect strength wasn't any weaker than the Massacre God Pavilion or the Heaven Origin sect. As the founder of the giant spirit devil sect, the giant spirit devil old monster's fame had spread far and wide. Old monster titan spirit's seniority was very high. Even an existence like the master of myriad swords would have to call him senior. Some people even said that the giant spirit monster and the king of eternal darkness's master, the thousand illusion sword master, were best friends. Some of the people who had heard of the giant spirit devil sect were shocked when they found out that the green-robed old man was the founder of the giant spirit devil sect. Some of the people who hadn't heard of the giant spirit devil sect were also shocked when they heard the surrounding experts' explanation. Soon after, more experts arrived. Almost all of them were led by god kings with 10 heavens wills. Some were led by god kings with 11 heavens wills, and some were even led by god kings with 12 heavens wills. God kings with 12 heavens wills were very rare. However, now that the primal chaos heavens will had appeared, these god kings with 12 heavens wills appeared one after another. Huang Fushi looked over. Altogether, there were 11 god kings with 12 heavens wills who came. Before long, the surrounding space was filled with experts from all sides. If there weren't 1,000,000,000, there were at least a few 100,000,000. A few 100,000,000 wasn't a lot. However, one had to know that almost all of them were ancient gods with 10 totems and above. This was almost all of the ancient gods with 10 totems and above in the lower realm. Lu Yiping, Taurus Longjiao, and the heavenly beasts were the first to arrive. Therefore, they were standing closest to the place where the heavens wills appeared. However, the experts who came later didn't dare to overtake Lu Yiping's group of 3. Old monster Zhu Ling and evil emperor De Dao looked at the backs of Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao. "It's him, the 26 totem ancient god?" Evil emperor De Dao stared at Taurus Longjiao and asked Qi Mingtian. "Yes, Lord Evil Emperor." Qi Mingtian quickly replied. Evil Emperor De Dao chuckled, 26 totem ancient god, the only one since ancient times. "I wonder if he can block my heaven-traversing blade." Green-robed old monster Zhu Ling looked at Lu Yiping and Taurus Longjiao and muttered to himself, "A master with 17 totems and a subordinate with 26 totems. Interesting." Sikong Nan said, "Some people speculate that Lu Yiping's totems are definitely more than 17 totems." Old monster Zhu Ling's eyes flickered with green light as he said, "Whether it's 17 totems or not, we'll know in a while." At this time, golden light poured down crazily from the split space in front of them. The surrounding air waves rolled violently. Some of the ancient gods nearby were sent flying by the air waves. Some of the ancient gods retreated in shock. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the crack in the starry sky, staring at it without blinking. Evil Emperor De Dao transmitted his voice to Qi Mingtian, Han Mo, and He Yao. "When the heavens will appears, use all your strength to activate the god-splitting saber formation. Only snatch the chaos heavens will." Then, he added, "No matter who snatches the chaos heavens will, kill." Qi Mingtian, Han Mo, and He Yao complied. Old monster Zhu Ling also transmitted his orders to Sikong Nan and the rest. Huang Fushi and Yao Kai also transmitted their orders to the Massacre God Pavilion and Qianyuan sect's experts. Under the starry sky, an austere atmosphere filled the air. In the split space, the golden light became even more dazzling, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Evil Emperor De Dao, old monster Zhu Ling, Huang Fushi, Yao Kai, and the rest held their breaths. Suddenly, a loud explosion sounded like chaos heavenly thunder. In the next moment, golden light burst out from the split space. One after another, heavens will flew out from the split space like a galaxy. A total of 7 heavens will. The smallest heavens will was 300 miles long. It was a grade 3 heavens will. Some were 500 miles long, some were 600 miles long, and some were 1,300 miles long. And the largest heaven's wheel was incomparably vast, reaching 70,000 miles long. It emitted a resplendent light that overshadowed the other 6 heaven's wheels. Chaos Heaven's Wheel. Grade 7 Chaos Heaven's Wheel. Grade 1 Chaos Heaven's Wheel was 10,000 miles long. Grade 2 Chaos Heaven's Wheel was 20,000 miles long. The Chaos Heaven's Wheel in front of them was a Grade 7 Chaos Heaven's Wheel. When everyone saw the largest Heaven's Wheel, they became excited. Their eyes burned with passion as they rushed toward the Chaos Heaven's Wheel. The bald evil Emperor Dedao was the fastest. He turned into a ray of saber light as he rushed toward the Chaos Heaven's Wheel. At the same time, he roared, "The Chaos Heaven's Wheel is mine. Anyone who tries to snatch the Chaos Heaven's Wheel from me will die." Just as the evil Emperor rushed toward the Chaos Heaven's Wheel, old monster Zhu Ling also rushed to the sky at the same time. The other 12 Heaven's Wheels were slower than the 2 of them. When the evil Emperor Dedao and old monster Zhu Ling were about to reach the Chaos Heaven's Wheel, a purple devilish chi akin to a heavenly river pierced through the layers of space. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.